Fletch with you, and it is a glorious Monday morning for some. For others, like NFL coaches, it's a nervous Monday morning. There's a lot of NFL coaches waking up and going, do I have a job still?
Some do not.
I am going to sit by my phone and wait for a text message or a call from my agent. I may be out of a job. So we will update you with all the happenings around the NFL. There's already been a couple of firings, and we'll get to those in a second. But what a busy weekend in the NFL. What a busy weekend for the Aztecs. Big win over UNLV, and that is a big boy quad one win. We will get to that in the show as well, plus giveaways. But first, how are my boys doing, TD?
Woo!
Weekend?
Trying to shake the dust off a little bit.
Yeah.
You get a little rusty over the weekend.
Yeah, sure. Well, no, you are a busy man. You're not rusty at all. You sent us pictures of you're framing something behind your television.
I'm building a fireplace and like some bookshelves.
Okay,
in the living room.
The fireplace is going to be one of those electric ones.
Yeah,
with the,
exactly.
Oh, that's cool, actually.
Yeah. Well, I guess however cool it is, I got to put it in because the wifey said so.
She said, Travis, I think it would look great there. And you said, so when am I starting? Is that a weekend? That's next weekend. Okay, you got it, honey.
That's exactly it.
So TD's busy. Fletch, you feeling better?
I mean, I kind of have a voice. That's better than I've been the last couple. I don't know if you guys listen to Aztecs pregame, but there was no voice.
I couldn't listen to pregame, and I wanted to because I missed you on Friday. We carried on without you. Bar Cart Friday brought to you by Keg and Bottle. TD and I just started drinking immediately.
I listened to zero of the show
because accurate.
I was asleep and also really, really sweaty, which is normal for that time of day. But I did get a text from my mom and said they're already drinking, and that was about 6:05.
Dude, it was immediate. So TD had he brought in fat washed bourbon and said, yeah, I mean, later in the show, I'm going to make an old fashioned before I make the Genuarian juice that I have planned. I'm like,
wait, when you say fat washed old fashioned, like there's animal fat infused into the whiskey or into the simple syrup?
Well, I guess it's animal fat. It's butter. Yeah. So I guess that's technically animal fat.
Yeah.
But it's not like I rendered down a
cow, like
like
a quarter steer.
But have you guys ever been to Born and Raised in Little Italy?
No.
Because they'll do a Wagyu infused old fashioned. So they'll render down Wagyu fat and put it in with their simple syrup and make an old fashioned out of it. It is the oiliest old fashioned you will ever drink, and it's also amazing.
Yeah, I like that a lot. Well, the one he made tastes like butterscotch. It was the craziest. So maple syrup, and then he added the brown butter, fat washed bourbon, and then I forget what else. It was just some bitters.
Some bitters and a cinnamon stick.
Dude, it was it tasted like breakfast, and we're pretty sure we got J-Riff completely slammered, who was filling in for you on Friday.
Right, nice. Right.
And we had two comedians. It was a lot of fun. Dustin Ybarra came in the 8 o'clock hour and the 7 o'clock hour. Brian Callen, both of them played shows over the weekend. Callen over at Mic Drop, and then Ybarra over at American Comedy Co. So it was a lot happening on Friday. It was a busy weekend, as mentioned, for the Aztecs. Huge weekend in the NFL. A lot of moving and shaking. Where do we want to get to first? We want to talk about some of the breaking news on the NFL, some of the firings.
Yeah, real quick correction. Not a quad one win for the Aztecs, but a very good win.
Oh, I thought UNLV, the Rebels, were quad one.
No, not quite. They're just outside of what would be a quad one.
They're like a quad two.
Yeah, I think actually maybe even a quad three because it was at home for the Aztecs. But
son of a
either way, here's the deal.
No, take it back.
I know.
Terrible
mediocre win.
Well, UNLV hadn't been healthy, so when they were fully healthy, like they beat Creighton. So I mean, they're one of the better teams in NCAA basketball, but they hadn't been fully healthy, so their record was struggling. But this was a huge win because they were back fully healthy to take on the Aztecs.
Aztecs are slackers. They beat a mediocre team at home. That's the byline there. What an incredible weekend for, like I said, most or some in the NFL. For others, you do have firings. So the Falcons couldn't wait till Monday. The Falcons said, get the hell out to Arthur Smith. That news dropped around 9 o'clock p.m. West Coast time. So on the East Coast, basically, as soon as the dust settled from the horrific appointment against the New Orleans Saints, the brass over there, Arthur Blank, owner of the Falcons, said, hey, Artie, here are your walking papers. Any reaction there?
Did anything that happened at the end of the game, with the Jamal Williams touchdown and the way the Saints handled that, did anything of Arthur Smith's reaction to that speed in his firing?
I think it probably did. I think he was over emotional. And I commented on that on Twitter, and some people were like, well, did you see the play? The Saints were in victory formation, and then they handed it off. That was such a cheap touchdown. I'm like, no, I'm not denying that. That's Bush League. I get it. You get into victory formation. The expectation is for everybody to kind of relax, your brother-in-law in it a little bit. Although I will say this, in victory formation, you've seen this a couple of times around the NFL this year. Defensive tackles are taking liberties, diving between centers' legs. So I
just messed up, by the way.
Oh, somebody's going to fracture a knee or break a patella or something, and then all of a sudden the NFL is going to do away with that garbage. But I digress. The point is, you got to be ready for anything at all times, and the Falcons weren't. They weren't clearly ready to stop the Saints for the 41 points that were scored before that last touchdown. I think the Saints should have gone for 2. Right. I think after they scored, I think it should have been so gratuitous. If there was a 3-point play, I would have gone for 3. I mean, screw them. Honestly, Arthur Smith, shame on him for saying that to Dennis Allen.
That's effing bull.
Oh, come on. Grow up.
Yeah.
Grow up.
I think it probably is it, because I bet you whoever talked to him after the game from the executive committee around Arthur Blank, or if it was Blank himself, probably saw his heightened emotions and were like, you know what? I wish you were like this after wins. I wish you were this emotional after some of the earlier losses this season. You're out of here, buddy.
Right. Rich, as a former NFL player, if the opponent did that to your team, would you feel like you were slighted in some manner with that?
I would think it was effing BS too, just like Arthur Smith did. But I would not ever go to an opposing coach and express that thought process out loud, because you look like such a chump. You look like an absolute chump. And that's what I kept thinking when they replayed that over and over and over again. I was just like, this guy looks like such a chump.
Oh, that was
on the field. Is it time to fight though?
Well, you know what? If you're really upset about it, in the heat of the moment, it's almost excusable to take a swing at somebody. But then again,
I mean, it's the end of the season.
Yeah, but Jamal Williams is like the resident NFL nice guy. Like
everyone loves him.
He's a sweetheart
because he's been on like 3 different teams and different divisions. Everyone loves him.
You remember him on Hard Knocks with the Lions?
Yeah, he was great.
Yeah, people fell in love with that guy. So the Saints locker room has as well, and he hadn't scored a touchdown the entire season. It was coming to an end anyways. And they're just like, hey, let's just get him in there.
Probably had like 15 different anime touchdown celebrations ready to go.
Yeah.
That's true.
He didn't get to do any of them because that was his first touchdown of the year.
Yeah.
What made matters worse for me was after the game, Dennis Allen actually got to the podium and he apologized for it and then called out his own locker room for it. He was like, yeah, the guys acted on their own. That was their decision to do that. I called in a QB kneel and then they handed the ball off. It was all they and me. And that is not good, to have any separation between what the team did on the field versus what you called in from the booth or from the sideline. Not a good deal. Not a good look for either side, especially for Arthur Smith, who ends up losing his job. Also, Ron Rivera gets fired this morning. On our drive in, the news came down. Breaking news that the Commanders have moved on from Rivera. I don't think it's surprising.
Mm-hmm. No, not surprising. Actually, what was surprising is how long he held on. I mean, that's where the surprising part was. Does he go anywhere else? Does anybody pick this guy up?
No, I don't. No, I don't see a fit for him anywhere in the NFL this upcoming season. I think he could probably find a college program who would be very happy to hire somebody with the sort of prowess that he had at the NFL level. Because remember, those Carolina teams where he was the head man in charge with Cam Newton, I mean, that team was exciting. That team actually was probably ahead of its time in terms of the offense they ran. So you can make the argument that and he's a nice guy. He's one of the nicest people you'll ever meet. Everybody says it. Ron Rivera is a class act the whole way. So, I mean, as a recruiter, especially talking to families and parents of athletes and things like that, I think it could work at the college level, but I don't think he has a job waiting for him anywhere around the league.
Unless it's a defensive coordinator job, I could probably see that happening because Riverboat Ron, he's been around. He knows everybody.
Yeah.
But Rich.
Yes.
Does Riverboat Ron leaving Washington open up a hole for Bill Belichick?
Well, he was really tight-lipped, Bill Belichick, about his intentions. In fact, Fletch, if you go to my Twitter account and you scroll down a couple, there's the post-game press conference that the Patriots put out where Bill Belichick was getting questions fired at him about the game, the loss to the Jets, but then about his future. Here's Belichick. Well, there you have it.
So Rich,
Yeah,
is that non-answer an answer?
a little bit.
Yeah,
It can be.
It's just Belichick.
But
it's
yeah.
very on to Cincinnati or on to Kansas City, which was the last one he did, where it was basically the same thing. But did you hear the announcers at the end of the game? Because I was watching on Red Zone. So Scott Hansen was doing this big soliloquy about how Belichick may never coach for the New England Patriots ever again. And it was beautiful to have watched. It was a privilege to watch a coach. That all was whatever. But then you listen to the actual Fox broadcast, and it almost seems like these guys know something. Take a listen.
Yeah. So I heard that as well and thought, that was interesting. And as I flipped around through other games, the other broadcasts were saying that the game had wrapped up there. Bill Belichick had a great run in New England, which I thought was very telling.
I think a lot of these announcers has been fed. I'm still willing to believe that it's possible that he comes back in New England. I'm not counting on it. I think that we'll see, there will be more reporting today, but the most likely scenario that I handed out yesterday was that he remains in Foxborough because it's an enormous amount of money to allow a coach to walk, although the Kraft family is very rich, and a good reason for that is because Bill Belichick has made them very rich.
Right.
He's made Robert and his son an enormous amount of money, who are the controlling interests in the Patriots over this 20-year dominance of the NFL. So it's difficult to break up. It sort of feels like if there's an opportunity to, if you really want the Belichick era to come to an end, it feels like it's materializing and everybody's come to terms with it. You just heard, like you said, Fletch, at the end of that was a farewell in Foxborough. Like you just said, TD, like all these other announcers are going, great run for the old coach. Here's what I know about him. If he is given complete control over another franchise, it is conceivable, it is possible that he can recreate what happened in New England, because people forget, because they look at his record alone in Cleveland, but they don't look at individually overall each year. It was improving in Cleveland before he left the Browns, before the Browns left Cleveland to go to Baltimore. He was the final coach there before they made that switch, and they were becoming a playoff team. They were figuring it out. He did it in New England. He obviously found the greatest quarterback of all time, but he was also in charge of finding the greatest quarterback of all time. They drafted him. The same way we say, well, Brock Purdy's Mr. Irrelevant. Well, he was relevant enough for the Niners to take him with the last pick of the NFL draft. And you could say they got lucky, but they're the team that drafted him. They're the team that developed him. Same credit goes to Belichick. He coached the greatest player who's ever played the game in Tom Brady. If he has a quarterback wherever he goes next, if he wants to coach somewhere else next, I think Belichick could have success elsewhere.
No, I agree. I think the exact same thing. I think that if he went to a franchise or a team that had some pieces already in place that he could work with, I think you'd see some magic happen. I mean, he's obviously a Hall of Fame coach, a future Hall of Fame coach. He's fantastic at what he does, so it's not like he's going to go somewhere and lose. The problem that Belichick has is with the Kraft family. He created something special there. I mean, and he created a winning culture. When at the time when he came in, New England was terrible.
TD, they
were terrible.
Awful.
I mean, they were a laughing stock. So you created this this juggernaut of a team. So now you are a victim of your own success.
Well, going along with all that logic, Washington has done Belichick a favor. They lost 8 in a row to end the season. They will have the number 2 overall pick in the next NFL draft.
I don't see him in Washington. I don't see him there.
You don't see him there?
No, as Washington, Ron Rivera, everything seems radioactive there, and it needs some time to cool off.
Yeah, well, also they just hired Washington because they cleared the whole staff. Rick Spielman to be the general manager, and Bob Myers, who's the former Golden State Warriors general manager who retired, stepped away from the Warriors and said, "Yeah, I'm just going to step away. I'm done here." And he's now on an NFL staff. So interesting wrinkle there. It kind of leads me to believe that Washington is in a landing spot because he's going to want complete control of the roster if he does it the same way he did in New England.
Well, I get that, but will they pay him $20 million a year?
Well, that's a rich
new ownership, right?
Yeah, that is a rich owner. That is a rich owner. He didn't buy the team to not spend money.
Yeah, pay the man.
Okay, the playoffs are set. So Baltimore and San Francisco, AFC, NFC, both of them had buys going into the first round. So both of them rested everybody this weekend. But we'll take a look forward because the weekend that has already played. Now we look forward to Sunday, Saturday, and Monday Night Football coming up in the Super Wild Card round. So the 7-seed Steelers, they sneak into the postseason. And they will be hosted by the Buffalo Bills, the 2-seed, who got the big win over the Miami Dolphins in Miami last night. That's going to be a Sunday kickoff. Speaking of the Dolphins, they are the 6th seed. They dropped into the low wild card. They're going to be hosted by Kansas City, the Chiefs. That'll be a Saturday kickoff. The Browns, the first wild card, go to Houston. So Joe Flacco rests. The 6th quarterback that the Browns have started this season, Jeff Driscoll, got to play in Cleveland's game this weekend. So the Browns head to Houston. On the NFC side, obviously, San Francisco has a bye. Packers get into the playoffs. They beat the Bears, and they'll go to Dallas. That's a Sunday kick. Rams heading to Detroit. Matthew Stafford back in his old stomping grounds. That's a Sunday kickoff. And then the Eagles, who had such a disappointing end to their season, losing 5 of their last 6 games. They're going to be going to NFC South division winner, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. That'll be the Monday nighter.
That's I feel like we got kind of hosed on the Monday night game.
Well, hang on. Hang on.
I can't wait for that game.
Eagles at Bucks?
Tampa Baker? Come on.
Well, let's start there. Okay. So the most unexpected playoff team, because there's a couple of them scattered throughout the NFC and the AFC. Most unexpected playoff team this year, TD. Which team makes you go kind of, wow, how did they get in?
Yeah, I mean, well, the I don't know if the Bucks are unexpected. I guess the most unexpected, probably Houston.
Okay,
yeah, probably Houston. I mean, and not only Houston, but they're playing a home game. I mean, it's at the beginning of the season, I thought Houston was just garbage.
So coming into the season, you're absolutely right. It's either Houston or Tampa Bay, right? But once we got into the season, and as of, what was the exact date? November 13th, it was the Buffalo Bills. Like, do you remember that stretch that the Bills went on between October and November where they were losing? I think they lost 4 of 6. And some of the losses they had in there, I wrote these down. The Jaguars, the Patriots, the Bengals, the Broncos, all in that 6-week span. They lost to all those teams. I remember they had the ugly primetime game against the Giants where the final score was like 14-9. Like, the Bills went through a stretch here where I think all 3 of it, maybe not Rich, because Rich has been back in the Bills forever, but Travis and I, at least, we're saying the Bills are done.
Oh, they look like they were imploding.
Like, they're not going to make the postseason. Stephon Diggs is going to throw an absolute fit and force his way out. Like, I thought the Bills were toast.
The same feeling that we have about the Eagles right now on the decline, which seems like things are unraveling there in Philadelphia. That's how I felt about the Bills. The Bills were unraveling. Things weren't good. Josh Allen, even though he was having a decent season, was still having a ton of turnovers. Things were not working there. The Bills look like they were done, and now they're the 2 seed
with the exact same record as the 6 seed, the Dolphins.
Yeah, right.
Well, what's interesting, Fletch, is when you bring that up about the Bills, I kind of felt like at first I was like, oh, finally, there's a little more company on this Bills train that I've been, the conductor of for a while. I'm like, choo choo, anybody want on? And everybody's like, no, the Bills suck, you idiot. I was like, wait, guys, it's Josh Allen. Sean McDermott. Everything's good. Everything's fine. I mean, he's a great quarterback. Great quarterbacks help you to the playoffs. They'll figure it out. And everybody's like, screw you. I'm like, see you at the next stop. Choo choo. And then all of a sudden, the train got full. And I'll tell you what, I don't like it. Everybody's taking credit. It's like, and I saw this coming. It's like, no, you didn't.
No, we didn't.
I did not see this coming.
Nobody saw it coming.
You guys are on it. You guys are on this. I'm like, where were you in the foxhole with me when I was taking all these shells talking about how great Josh Allen is? And you were going, yeah, right.
You should just hang out with Chris Collinsworth all the time, because the tongue bath that Josh Allen was getting from Chris Collinsworth last night was absurd. Oh my gosh, dude, could you imagine any other quarterback doing that?
The Steelers offense looked better than they have all season against the Seahawks.
Yeah.
Now, does that give you any thought that maybe they could do something against the Bills as they sneak into the playoffs here?
Yeah. Here's the deal. Like, I think the Bills are so hot. And I think that defense is wired so tight, and even the special teams. I mean, they've had some real special teams plays down the stretch of the season, TD. I just don't see how the Steelers can find a way out of this game. But then again, that's Mike Tomlin on that sideline.
Yeah.
And he has another playoff contender on his hands, where you look at the Steelers. We were just talking about the Browns, the number of starting quarterbacks they went through. I mean, it's like 2-ply toilet paper at that position for the Steelers over the past like 3 seasons, and he's kept it together.
By the way, about 3 weeks ago, there was talk of, will Mike Tomlin be fired because here's another season the Steelers will not make the playoffs, and they're there. It's a 10-win team.
I know, but pump the brakes on the Steelers, because TJ Watt and that injury, that's a huge problem for Pittsburgh. Right. He's the heart and soul of that defense. It makes them a lot more one-dimensional up front. So I don't see it happening for the Steelers.
That's the
Buffalo.
Only stinker I have of the super wild card weekend. Is that what they call it in the NFL now? That's the only stinker of a game I have. The rest of them, I find intrigue in all of them.
What would you say is the best matchup, Fletch? Like when you look at it,
I love Detroit Rams.
Yeah,
I love that matchup for all the emotional reasons that get packed into it. That's actually going to be my Monday morning monologue when we get to it.
Can't wait.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a good one too. I think the Cowboys dodged a bullet not having to face the Rams.
I agree with you. Nobody wanted to face the Rams.
I don't think anyone wants to face the Packers either, though.
No. Well, the Packers, Jordan Love. Yeah. I mean, he's special.
Yeah, it seems a little wonky there. I don't know. Something just I'm not completely sold on the Packers. However, I think the Packers can ruin your day. They're like the Cardinals in the playoffs.
And Dallas is just kissing the earth because they get to play 2 games at home.
Yeah. Well, 100%.
Well, they may play all of them if the Niners get bounced.
Well,
that's a great point.
Yeah.
The Niners just have to play 1 game before they play against the Cowboys, and it's going to be against probably the Rams.
Well, let's talk a little Cowboys here coming up next. Also break down the Eagles a bit, what's going on there. But first, DraftKings, the official daily fantasy partner of the NFL, just dropped a brand new way to play fantasy football with Pick 6. New customers can make their first NFL picks and get $100 back in Pick 6 credits if they don't win. Download the new DraftKings Pick 6 app now and sign up with code SD760. New customers can get up to $100 back in Pick 6 credits if your first football pick set doesn't win. Only on DraftKings Pick 6 with code SD760. The crown is yours. 1 offer per new customer. First qualifying pick set winnings, less entry fees, must generate negative number. Max reward up to $100 equal to the amount negative number. Issued in non-withdrawals Pick 6 credits. Valid for Pick 6 use only. Expire after 1 year. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. 18 plus in most eligible states, but age varies by jurisdiction. Eligibility restrictions apply. Valid only in states where DraftKings Pick 6 operates. Void where prohibited. See terms at pick6.draftkings.com.
Coming up next, it hurts so good. Dak can cook, and Riverboat Ronnie is looking for a gig. All that on the other side.
Out in Philadelphia. Oh, hurts so good. Oh, and Dak can cook. We'll explain next.
This update is presented by the Jim Patrol Real Estate Team. Starting off in the NFL, a couple coaches have already been fired. Arthur Smith and Ron Rivera both out, but the regular season is in the books. Playoffs are now set in the AFC. Baltimore gets the 1 seed in the bye week. Texans host the Browns. Chiefs got Miami, and the Buffalo Bills clinch the 2 seed. They're going to host Pittsburgh. In the NFC, Niners get the 1 seed in the bye week. Bucks host the Eagles. The 3 seed Lions host the 6 seed Rams. And Green Bay is going to travel to Dallas to play the Cowboys. College hoops, Aztecs have now won 3 straight games by double digits. They beat UNLV on Saturday 72-61. San Diego State expected to be in the AP top 25 when the poll gets released today. And hey, we haven't even mentioned it yet. The NCAA College Football National Championship is going down tonight. It's Washington. It's Michigan. It's going to be a great game. Would you like to know what your home would sell for today? Get a simple text message with your home's value by texting your address to 855-600-6000. You'll get no phone call, just a text. Jim Patrol has the buyer. Simply text your address to 855-600-6000.
Big Rich, City and Fletch at San Diego Sports 760, and make sure that you have things locked in here for the day, because we have a pair of tickets to see Def Leppard and Journey out at Petco Park. It's August 30th. Tickets and info are available at livenation.com, or just keep listening for your chance to win. Nicely done here with some John Mellencamp, Fletch. Yeah, hurts so good.
Did you see his finger?
Yeah. Not good. Not good.
Fingers are not supposed to bend like that. Like, I'm fairly certain. Look, I can do this right now. See?
Yeah, I see that.
And that's what Jalen Hurts
number one.
That's what Jalen Hurts was doing to everybody yesterday, except it was crooked.
Yeah, that looked gross. Was that the well, so it popped out of its socket. Yeah. So they popped it back in. Now, I don't know how long he's going to be dealing with that injury, but I would imagine it's a couple weeks that it's going to be sore. Yeah, I mean, it popped out of its socket, man. It's
I don't know that it actually impacts all that much. Have you ever had a dislocated finger?
No, not a finger.
It sucks. It hurts really bad. But they kind of pop it back in, and you're like, oh.
And that was it? It didn't hurt anymore?
Well, it hurts for like a couple weeks, like you said, but it doesn't really impact everything all that much unless there's like tendons in there that get messed up while it's happening. But if it's just a little
looked at the picture
bone that pops out, it's just you put it back in.
Yeah, no, I get it.
Happened to me in the middle of a basketball game one time, and our trainer put it back in, and then I went on and played.
And, man, oh man. I mean, imagine it's going to be sore. Now, Rich can speak better to this. Rich, have you ever dislocated a finger?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
How long does it hurt afterwards?
It hurts for a little while afterwards. It's just really the problem for Hurts is the fact that the stiffness that comes after it. Like, so the pain, it's like you can take stuff for pain. They can inject things into your finger for pain.
Toradol.
But like, well, no, you would not site inject Toradol. But that does help. as like a general anti-inflammatory.
What's the one that they do in the locker room, though?
That is Toradol.
Okay.
Well, they do everything in the locker room. But Toradol, a lot of players, at least when I was playing, I don't know if it's still as common, but before every game, there were a lot of players who took a shot of Toradol, which is like a surgical anti-inflammatory. So there's that. I'm sure he can take that if he wants to, but also there's like site injections you can make with numbing agents. I don't know how much you want to numb the throwing hand or finger of a starting quarterback. So we'll see what they do, how they handle it. But it's the swelling. They got to get the swelling under control. If there is any, that could really hamper his mobility in his fingers, especially if you have a situation where it's a wet game at all. Tampa Bay, unpredictable weather. Sometimes it could rain down there. We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, Tampa Bay, I mean, I understand they're the 4 seed because they won their division, but do they feel like a playoff team to you? To me, they do not.
Tampa Baker, baby. He has some magic in him. Like, he can get in games like this, like he'll have coming up against the Eagles. And I think he can really make something happen, because when Baker gets going and it's kind of that special moment, he always plays up to it. It's not a situation where Baker. So at the very least, it's going to be entertaining as hell.
Yeah, by the way, we have the update on, I guess, the results. Are we calling it results on the Pocky One Chip Challenge?
A little bit like kissing your sister.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, I feel a little bit of vindication.
So,
I mean,
You had a big day.
so the way it shook out was we needed a 6-leg parlay to hit, TD and I, for Ben to be the sole loser in the Pocky One Chip Challenge.
Right.
It did not hit. However,
Can I say, all right, going into yesterday, or actually Thursday night, or when did the Steelers play? Saturday night?
Saturday.
Going into that game, I had 7 points. Rich had 5 points. TD had 3 points.
Yeah.
Okay.
Coming out of yesterday, and it came all the way down to that Bills game, I had 8 points. TD had 8 points. Rich had 7 points.
Wow.
Rich needed the Bills to win.
Wow.
TD and I needed the Dolphins to win. The Bills win. All 3 of us have 8 points.
So there
We
you
all
have
have
it.
to eat the chip.
We all have to eat the chip. So that means we can't do the Pocky One Chip Challenge most likely this week. It'll have to be pushed to next week because we have to buy 2 more chips.
We got to find chips.
I don't even know if we can buy them.
I know.
I think I bought it in the last week of production.
Yeah.
You did, because somebody died that week.
Yes.
You bought it, and then immediately we read later in the week a news story that a gentleman out of Massachusetts had passed away after trying the challenge.
Which is as good as evidence as any that we live in a simulation.
Yeah, but I mean, yeah, it felt like somebody was watching over us.
Because TD said the words when I bought the thing. He's like, no, if I eat that, I'm going to die. And then 3 days later, somebody dies.
Don't you put that evil on me, Fletch. Do not put that evil on me.
Oh, so you killed him.
Yeah, that's my fault.
You are sick, man.
There's a 2-pack here on eBay for $30.
Done.
Or best offer.
I would offer $30. All right. Well, there it is.
Oh,
We
yeah.
got
So
the-
are you sure you don't want to just break it up into 3s?
Oh, absolutely not. I want us all to, because you know what's interesting about this? Eating the chip is not a problem. You're going to eat the chip. You're going to be like, oh, all right. And then 30 seconds later, that's when your problems start. Yeah.
That doesn't sound great to me.
I got, oh no, this is a punishment for being losers.
But hold on. Fletch brought the chip in.
Yeah.
Shouldn't there be like a default, since it was a tie? It just goes to Fletch.
Yes.
It belongs to him.
Actually, I do agree
Yeah.
with that. Yeah, that makes a lot more sense to me now. So yeah, Fletch, unfortunately, sorry, buddy.
Yeah.
It's on you now.
I'm still baffled that this actually happened.
Yeah.
This actually came down to a 3-way tie.
Does that mean we're that good or we're that bad?
Well, no, because when you look at the rest of our picks, we actually did okay on the ones that we all selected together.
Did we all finish over 500
I'd have to go back
on our
and
win
look.
totals?
In
Yeah.
certain divisions we were really good. Certain divisions we were really bad.
Because the truth is, as soon as, especially when gambling or sports betting, I should say, is legalized in California.
All you got to be is 54%.
Oh, dude, yeah, I'm all over it. Our win, especially if we're winners on the win total in terms of being plus 500, that wins you some cash. So we'll
Best of the best in the world. The people in Vegas that do this for a living, they hit at 56.5 or 56.6%. I can't remember what it is, but that's enough to make a living.
Well, they're good at it because, I mean, it came down to the wire here on a lot of these teams where, you know, the over-under's 9.5 and they finished with 9 wins.
Oh yeah, it was determined by the final week of the season.
Crazy.
Also, it is crazy.
Where's your script?
I don't have it. I handed it back to Goodell after my final season. All right. So Hurts obviously injured going into this game against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Dak, who gets to host a game in Dallas over the Green Bay Packers. Here's the thing about Dallas. Dallas is really good at home. They're undefeated at home. I think this feels like a win in theory. I feel like the Packers, as hot as they've been, Dallas has hosted a lot of hot teams, and they've dispatched of them fairly easily at home. Also, CeeDee Lamb and Dak, that connection has finally been like the feature piece of that offense, which it should have been the whole time, but we're off to the races there. It feels like a Dallas win leaving the Super Wild card. Right?
I'm with you, Rich. Feels the same way to me. And yeah, I couldn't agree more. CeeDee Lamb is the best player out there on that field every single week for the Cowboys, and they need to feed him the ball, and they have been. And week after week, it's been getting better and better. I mean, it's been incredible. The Dallas Cowboys are for real, but
I got the Packers.
I don't know. I don't got the Packers. You're crazy. You're crazy in this.
Maybe it is crazy. Maybe it's just me hating the Cowboys as I have my entire life, but I think I got the Packers here. I really do. I've seen enough Cowboys-Packers games in the postseason, and I can remember one vividly just a few years ago. Actually, this was when I was in college, so make that more than a few years ago. But do you remember the Jordan Cook catch on the sideline from Aaron Rodgers?
Yeah.
Then the field goal from Mason Crosby to win it. Like I've seen enough Dallas in the postseason with Dak Prescott to know that he likes to choke away these games.
Yeah, he does, but he hasn't played against Jordan Love.
And by the way, also what you're talking about isn't Dak. You're talking about the Dallas defense.
Mm-hmm.
And like, you know what I mean? Like I'm with you. I the results haven't been there for Dallas, but that wasn't Dak's fault. That was Dallas's defense fault. And frankly, you can't even blame the defense. I remember the play you're talking about. Aaron Rodgers was ranging out to his non-throwing side, stopped his feet, reset, threw to Cook on the sideline, who made a sensational catch to keep that drive alive. It was, I mean, they've had some foibles as it is
in
the
clock
postseason.
Management a couple years ago against the Niners.
Awful. Again, you blame that on the head coach, not on the Cowboys starting quarterback. Like there's a lot of things that I think get shifted onto quarterbacks in this league. Some fair, some unfair. I think Dak wears it in the postseason, which is weird to me because like a guy like Dak gets blamed for his postseason problems. A guy like who else? Josh Allen gets blamed for his postseason problems. Lamar Jackson catches no grief. Everybody's like,
he does for me.
Well, from me too. I see it. I see it clearly. I'm like, I need the Baltimore Ravens to prove it in the divisional round for me to feel comfortable with this campaign of, oh, well, it's going to be a Baltimore Super Bowl. Not so fast.
Right.
Lamar Jackson has struggled in the postseason.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I digress on that point. Going back to Dak, I think they handled business against the Green Bay Packers, but again, they've had their hearts broken in Dallas before.
Okay, we do have some news out of New England. We'll save it for the other side so I can read into it a little bit, but the story's not over, boys.
Okay, okay, all right.
The saga continues.
A little bit of a tease there. We'll get to that, but first, I want to talk to everybody about my new friend over at Golden Triangle Plastic Surgery, the Man Zone. You got to check out our testosterone clinic. I'd say it's my testosterone clinic that I've been going to. The Man Zone makes it super easy for you to get your T levels checked, and I suggest you do, because look, this isn't something that's just for people in their 40s, their 50s, and 60s. I know that's the way that it's been promoted with a lot of people. It's not though, because I'm 37. I had my T levels checked. I was feeling a little sluggish, especially when I got to the gym. Especially when I was trying to lift some weights or do some push-ups or do any sort of exercising, I was just like, I'm just not motivated. What's wrong with me? Well, it turns out my T levels were in the low average. So from 300 to 1,000, that's the range your testosterone is supposed to be in when you're in your late 30s. Well, mine was in the low 3s, and I wanted to get that fixed. So I went to the Man Zone, and it's been great. Dr. David over at the Man Zone, a board certified plastic surgeon. He was able to meet with me, discuss treatment options. And then I go in once a month. I pick up my supply. I go home with it. I don't see anybody for another month. and it's super easy and it's super discreet. Like if you're worried about this, if you're nervous about this, if this is something that you're embarrassed by, first of all, don't be, because it's just a medical procedure and it's performed by a doctor. You're going in and getting some testing done, some blood work. You're walking out of there with real results. And then because whether or not you have appropriate T levels or low T levels, what you need to do in terms of treatment. And Dr. Roy David is a board certified plastic surgeon, somebody you can trust. He's a name that people know around this city and this county and have for a long time. So educate yourself on testosterone. Go to themanzone.com. That's themanzone.com and book your first appointment. And when you do, tell them that you heard it on 760, and they will take care of you the same way they took care of me. Cindy and Dr. Roy David and the whole gang over there at Golden Triangle Plastic Surgery at the Man Zone will get you right. Okay, coming up next, we got a broke down car. We got a firing, a blank space in Atlanta. We also have a baker. Can he bake us a cake as fast as we can? And breaking news out of New England. That's next. Coming up next, the NFC South. Can Tampa Bay advance in the postseason? And a quick note we got to pass on about the Patriots. Hey, Big Rich, TD, and Fletch with you. If you haven't already downloaded the free iHeartRadio app, do yourself a favor and get it, because it's the best way to listen to music and podcasts and everything you want to do in the audio space. Also, this show is on the free iHeartRadio app, and the best way to support the show is share a link with a friend. Don't keep it a secret. Send a link to a buddy or a spouse or a fiance or a mistress. We don't mind.
A mistress.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As long as she listens to free iHeartRadio app, Big Rich, TD, and Fletch.
Should be the first one you send it to.
Yeah, like, listen, I know we're trying to keep the relationship a secret, but the guys told me not to keep the show a
And
secret.
if she's having a problem with her feet, do we have a surprise for you?
Oh my gosh, yeah. If she's got back problems, and she probably does, these arch supports can really help. Anyways, moving right along. Fletch, you said there was news out of New England?
There is. So Belichick had his Monday morning video conference, which he does every week throughout the NFL season. And there's some quotes coming out that have people scratching their heads a little bit. So he said, when asked about his future with the Patriots, "I'm for whatever collectively we decide as an organization is the best thing to help our football team. I'm under contract, so I'm going to do what I always do, which is every day I come in, work as hard as I can to help this team in whatever way that I can. So that's what I'm going to continue to do." But then he was asked about the role of general manager and what his role has been over the years and what it will continue to be if he stays. And he says, "I have multiple roles in that. I rely on a lot of people to help me in those responsibilities. If somebody's got to have the final say, I rely on a lot of other people to help. And however that process is, I'm only a part of it." So he's minimizing his role as the general manager with the New England Patriots.
But again, it's very Belichickian. He's always answered those questions that way. And also, if you go to their website, and it may still be this way, but when I was playing with them, certainly, and for years following, I haven't checked recently, nobody has a coordinator role. Like Billy O'Brien is their offensive coordinator, but it isn't written that way on the website for whatever reason. He just does. They're very, I don't know, close to the vest about everything. Like the labels that people have in the organization, all compensated well, but the label isn't there. TD, you're a longtime football fan. Belichick potentially facing his last days in New England. The final shot is that disaster of a fourth quarter for Belichick in the snow game against the Jets. Your thoughts on the era, the Belichick era, coming to an end?
Well,
potentially.
I mean, look, I don't feel like the Belichick era himself is coming to an end, but it may be coming to an end in New England. And, it's kind of sad, actually. It's sad when you see something that's been so great for so long have to come to an end, and coming to an end not really on his own terms. At least that's what it sounds like, because to me, Fletch, that quote or those couple quotes there sound like, look, I'm here. I'm not planning on moving. In fact, I'm leaning towards Bill Belichick does not want to go anywhere. However, he is throwing it out there like, if they make the decision to let me go, that's on them.
I want to switch gears really, really quick here and just get some quick hitter thoughts on the rest of the NFC South. Tampa Bay heading to the postseason. They won the NFC South. Baker Mayfield, somehow after Tom Brady leaves, he fills the void, and they're going to face the Philadelphia Eagles. But Carolina, really quick from you, Fletch, and then TD. Bryce Young, is he the answer at quarterback?
No. How could he be? How could he? Like, that was a terrible showing for the number 1 overall draft pick, and should make people worried, by the way, next year of just going with the consensus number 1 overall.
Yeah, I mean, I think I agree. I don't think he is the answer there. He's had a tough year. It was a tough go, watching him fall apart basically at the end of the season here. And it hasn't been great all season. There's been a couple great moments, but for the most part overall, I would not give him it was a C grade, I guess.
That might go down as one of the worst first overall picks ever because of how much you had to give up to get that number 1 overall pick. By the way, the Carolina Panthers would have had the number 1 overall pick again this year, but they don't because they traded it away to get Bryce Young.
Yeah, they traded up to get him. Yeah, a lot of capital spent there. Fletch, I understand your point, and TD, yours as well, but I think it's too early to call. I'm sensitive to the fact that the NFL is really difficult to get good at, and it's really difficult at the quarterback position. And so Bryce Young, I'm going to give him at least another year, and we'll see who they hire. The biggest problem to me is David Tepper, their owner. All right, let's look at New Orleans, their quarterback situation with Derek Carr. Kind of an up and down season. It kind of felt like they were getting it together at the end of the season. A big blowout win over the Falcons to finish their season. What do you think of Derek Carr moving forward with the Saints?
I think he's on the B team. quarterback in my eyes, but he's pretty good. The Saints earlier in the season, I thought, well, hang on, they're getting it together. They look good. Then they fell apart. And then it was literally the last week of the season when you go, oh, wait, the Saints can score some points. I just don't really trust them. I don't think they're going far here in the playoffs.
Derek Carr is good enough to be a quarterback in this league, and I think he never should have left Las Vegas. They never should have let him go because I think Las Vegas would have been a much better team this year had Derek Carr been the starting quarterback.
When I think of Derek Carr to start the season, I thought the Saints were going to be one of those teams.
So did I.
Who were going to be potentially contending for a Super Bowl.
And you look around their division, it should have been them walking into the postseason.
Yeah, and they just weren't. And a lot of it had to do, not all with Derek Carr, but a lot of it had to do with him getting used to the new surroundings, the new tools around there. And now I'm looking at him less as like a solution to the problem at quarterback and more of a bridge quarterback to whoever is going to come in there next. All right, really quick, let's talk about the Atlanta Falcons who are searching for a new head coach. Arthur Smith out. Who do you think makes sense to hire there?
I don't know who it is, but whoever it is, please come in and decide to actually use the guys who are good at football. Kyle Pitts has been misused his entire NFL career. He has potential to be one of the best tight ends in football. You haven't used him. Bijan Robinson, for some reason, was in a snap share with Tyler Algier this year. And I don't get that one either. Like Bijan Robinson, watch him in college. He was elite of the elite of the elite. And every time he touched the football this year, good things happened. Throw it to the right guys or give it to the right guys.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know who's going to come in there. I think that the Falcons actually have a decent team that if somebody could come in and help stitch it all together, it would work.
I will fix the Falcons right now. Hire Ben Johnston, the OC of the Detroit Lions.
Hire Ben Fletcher.
Trade for
Ben Fletcher.
Justin Fields.
Yeah.
Get Justin Fields into that system because he's played some good football for the Chicago Bears over the last few weeks. And I think Chicago just doesn't know how to use him either. So get Justin Fields, Ben Johnston. Falcons in the playoffs.
So Ben Johnson's your new head coach and the Falcons starting quarterback. I mean, that's a lot. That's a lot to move in a very short amount of time. I'm very interested to see if they do go and trade for a quarterback as opposed to getting into the draft and seeing what's available there, because it is a loaded up draft class. So
yeah.
Intrigue there.
We've had a couple of head coaches here for our team, and I'm talking about Wayne and Chloe over at SD Fat Loss. They have coached us on how to lose weight, not only quickly, but then keep that weight off. That's what they do at SD Fat Loss, because what they don't want you to do is the yo-yo diet. They don't want you to lose a bunch of weight and then gain it all back, because that's what's happening with these fad diets. You see people losing weight here. You see the celebrities losing weight. You may have friends and family who have lost weight with some of these fad diets. The prescription medication fad diets is what I'm talking about here. Guess what? As soon as they stop taking the appetite suppressants, they gain that weight right back. I mean, that's how it goes. Not only do they gain the weight back, but they gain even more weight back, which you definitely want to stay away from. That's bad news. Not with SD Fat Loss. They have the secret to quick weight loss. And like I said, most importantly, lasting weight loss. And you can do it without counting calories or counting points or even exercise. You don't have to do any of that stuff. Drink the shakes, eat the granola bars. None of that has to happen here with SD Fat Loss.
Oh, that's good, because I can't count.
Yeah, I listen. If it's more than 10, I'm out of fingers.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
And even one of my fingers is really bad. It's a bad finger. It's like half a finger.
It is true. You got like 9.5 going there. But look, SD Fat Loss, it works. I lost 31 pounds in 8 weeks, and then now I've been keeping that weight off. And then now here we go in the new year, and I think we're all going, okay, that's time to ramp this up and lose some more weight. So we're going to go back on the weight loss plan here and knock some more of these pounds off. I know Fletch is killing the game right now. What have you lost any more weight here since you started?
Like 7 pounds.
Jeez.
Come on, man.
Let's
Come
go.
on. Here we go. So you got to keep up with Fletch. SDFatLoss.com. That's where you go. Schedule your free consultation today. It's SDFatLoss.com.
Hour number 2, Big Rich, TD, and Fletch. This update presented by Progressive Insurance. Starting off in the NFL regular season in the books with the playoffs now set in the AFC. Baltimore gets the 1 seed in the bye week. Texans host the Browns. Chiefs got the Dolphins, and Buffalo Bills clinch the 2 seed. They're going to host Pittsburgh. In the NFC, the 49ers get the 1 seed and the bye week that comes with it. The Bucs will host the Eagles. The 3 seed Lions host the 6 seed Rams, and Green Bay is going to travel to Dallas. They got the Cowboys. College hoops, Aztecs have now won 3 straight games by double digits, beating UNLV on Saturday 72-61. San Diego State expected to be back in the AP Top 25 when the poll gets released later today. Michigan and Washington, it's the national championship game at 4:30 tonight. It's going to be at NRG Stadium in Houston. Progressive Commercial Insurance can protect your small businesses with over 30 coverage options, an easy-to-use mobile app, personalized discounts, and more. Get a quote in as little as 6 minutes at progressivecommercial.com. Discounts and coverage selections not available in all states or situations.
Oh, wow. Good morning and happy Monday to those who celebrate. Big Rich, TD, and Fletch with you. We are off to the races. Boy, not a lot of sleep last night, but didn't need it because the energy and enthusiasm from a very busy weekend and the NFL has carried me over. But I will say this, and we'd be remiss if we did not mention it. We had a big win for San Diego State, the Aztecs, who are preparing for New Mexico next into conference play now. That was a big win over I guess you would say a quad 2 opponent. We were discussing and debating this a little bit earlier on, but a big win nonetheless over the Rebels, who fully healthy are going to be one of the better teams in this conference. After beating Fresno State on Wednesday night, they get the win over the Rebels on Saturday night. So 2-0 in conference. 13-2 overall.
Woo! 3 straight 10-plus point wins. And they got San Jose State tomorrow night. And
it's San Jose State.
They'll have New Mexico on the road at the Pit this weekend, which that's a tough one.
Yeah,
that will be a quad 1 game.
Is San Jose here?
San Jose State's in
San Jose. Okay.
They got back-to-back road games after back-to-back homes.
Yeah.
Nice.
So quick trip up north.
13-2. Love that money.
Yeah. I mean, and that's what it is, right? Oh, by the way, have we checked in on the AP polling? Are the Aztecs in the top 25
Not
yet?
released yet, but it's coming.
Okay, yeah, it's going to
Probably
be out later this
somewhere
morning.
in the 8 o'clock hour.
Gosh, I hate when it comes out because every single time it's either my stomach drops because I'm like, they're not in again, or I go, they should be higher.
So John went on this whole thing during the pregame show of why it would be inexcusable for them not to be in this time, because a bunch of teams ahead of them lost, and they were the final team that was out. They were like number 26, and a bunch of Clemson lost twice this past week. Providence lost. Like a bunch of teams who were in, FAU lost again, but they'll probably just fall one spot or maybe move up. Hell,
Or their unit.
Yeah, that's right. Or the Owls.
They're going to be in today, and I would imagine
that's
it's
it.
going to be 21 or 20 is where the Aztecs will be.
Okay. Okay. Well, I hope so. And it would be cool if they crack the top 20. It's not going to happen, but it would be very cool. Congrats to Brian Dutcher and the coaching staff over there on the Mesa for their incredible work so far this season. You can listen to all the Aztecs action, including but not limited to their Wednesday game against the Spartans.
Tuesday.
Gosh, I am all over the place with their schedule. Their Tuesday game on
Tomorrow
the road
night,
against the Spartans.
8 o'clock.
And then also their Saturday tip in the Pit.
10 a.m.
At New Mexico. And I will for sure be watching it on time because I'm great with times. Anyways, getting back to the NFL Super Wildcard Weekend coming up. That'll get kicked off on Saturday. There's Saturday games, there's Sunday games, there's Monday game, a Monday game. But let's review a little bit more. We'll dive into each of these divisions as we kind of nip and tuck and finish up the season for some of these teams. The AFC West is a boneyard.
Yeah.
So we started the season thinking like, geez, like Chargers, Chiefs,
5 wins.
Broncos, like all of these teams could potentially, I mean, Sean Payton, if he turns around Russell Wilson, could we be talking about 3 playoff teams out of the AFC West?
Guys, the Chargers finished with 5 wins.
Dude.
5 wins.
Did we all take the over in our wins?
No, I took the under.
You took
What,
the
you
under?
did?
Yeah,
Oh,
that was a big one for me.
Wow.
Okay,
Genius.
yeah, that was a big one for you. No, dude,
Wow.
I did not see this coming at all. So the Chargers fire Brandon Staley. Easton Stick was their starter against Kansas City. I mean, the season, obviously, after the firing went exactly the way you would think it would go. It fizzles to a finish. So what's next? Where do they turn? People are talking about Jim Harbaugh. People are talking about Bill Belichick, who, by the way, hasn't been fired by New England yet. Jim Harbaugh is going to be coaching in the national championship tonight against the Huskies. So it sort of
4:30 for that one.
And we'll be there.
Yes, we will.
So where do the Chargers go from here? They have a great quarterback. They need a coach.
It's going to be lame. I promise you that. Like, whatever the Chargers do next, it's going to be someone that you've heard of, but you're like, oh, that guy's still coaching?
You don't feel like it's their time to make a move? Like it's their time to go all in on something?
That's what everyone's saying. That's what the national media is saying. And someone put out, if the Chargers want Harbaugh, they'll find a way to make it happen in Spanish. I'm like, do you know what the Chargers do?
You know who
not that.
You know who would be cheap, all right? Who I think would be great. Now, you can't have him yet.
They rehire Brandon Staley.
How did you beat me to it? But everybody's talking about an offensive-minded head coach because Justin Herbert needs one and blah, blah, blah. Check this out, though. The Raiders' offense actually looked better after the firing of Josh McDaniels, who's an offensive-minded head coach. They looked like a more consistent team. Devontae Adams got more touches. Aiden O'Connell was your starting quarterback. It was better. Well, Antonio Pierce was the reason for all that.
Right.
He changed the energy in that locker room. So if the Las Vegas Raiders fire Antonio Pierce, or they don't rehire him as a head coach and they give him the opportunity to chase a head coaching job elsewhere, on the cheap, right? Outside of a Harbaugh hiring if he's available, or a Belichick hire, Antonio Pierce to me feels like that could be a great selection.
Yeah, I don't think you're wrong there. However, Antonio Pierce did something for the Raiders that they had been missing for a long time, and Antonio Pierce could encapsulate that Raider feel. I mean, he brought the culture back to the Raiders, that fight attitude, which I don't know if he knows that in Los Angeles. No,
he's from Compton. I mean, it could work very well with Antonio Pierce being the Los Angeles Chargers. God, that feels gross.
Yeah.
Next head coach. But do the Raiders make the same mistake twice? Because they were in this exact same situation a few years ago when they should have hired Rich Bisaccia to be their next head coach, and they didn't. Do they make that same mistake twice and go away from Antonio Pierce to maybe it is Jim Harbaugh and paying him $25 million a year? I don't think Mark Davis is that dumb. He's dumb. He's not that dumb.
If the Raiders have the opportunity to bring Harbaugh over, you think they're going to pass at that opportunity? I don't think so.
So check this out. Sources, according to Jordan Schultz with Bleacher Report, this was reported January 8th. So this is this morning. He said, sources of Bleacher Report, there's mutual interest between the Raiders and current Michigan head coach Jim Harbaugh. I'm told that Harbaugh wants to return to the NFL and has, quote unquote, a lot of interest in the Chargers vacancy as well. There's a slew of internal support, internal meaning the players, of Antonio Pierce, whom Davis really likes, but Harbaugh is, quote unquote, at the top or near the top of his list. So if Schultz does have accurate reporting and does have sources inside or tied to the Raiders, it sounds like the Raiders are supremely interested in Jim Harbaugh, which means they'll outpay whatever Dean Spanos can come up with in LA. And then going back to Antonio Pierce, if he's kind of a free agent looking for a gig and the Raiders do what they should do, which is release him of whatever contract obligations he has and go chase a head coaching job. Again, I think it would be a coup because you're stealing strength from inside your division. Maybe some of those players on the Raiders want to come with him. You know, some of the free agents, maybe you steal a couple of those guys. They have some talent on that roster. I don't know. Moving on to the Raiders, though, do you think Jim Harbaugh fixes this team, or is there another coach who you would like to see, or should they stick with Antonio Pierce?
I think they should stay with Antonio Pierce. I just think that, again, if Harbaugh is available and they can go spend the money and take him, I think they will.
What do you do?
I don't think they pass on it.
What do you do at quarterback?
That's where you don't.
Yeah.
Who knows? And the Raiders fell down the draft order a little bit because of the wins from Antonio Pierce. So that makes it tricky too. Like some of the top name quarterbacks might be off the board by the time it gets to you. Now, the Harbaugh thing is funny because everyone says the same thing, right? Oh, he's won everywhere he goes. He's a winner everywhere he goes, whether it was at USD, whether it was at Michigan, whether it was at Stanford, whether it was with the 49ers. Do people forget how it ended with the 49ers?
Not well.
It was hideous. It was terrible at the end. Rich, you've talked to players in that locker room. They hated it.
Well, yeah, there was a mutiny on his hands towards the end of his tenure with the San Francisco 49ers. The problem was
and they were bad at football at the end of his tenure.
They were. And the problem was he burned out the veterans. He lost the locker room. Your locker room is constituted of young guys who will listen to every word you say and veterans who know better than to. That's the reality of the situation in the NFL, because there are certain things that coaches ask you to do that you shouldn't have to do or shouldn't do based on the way your body feels, based on the way the season's been going. And a coach has to be in tune with pushing the right buttons. And Jim Harbaugh pushed too hard all the time. It was redlining this situation. And when you do that to an engine, it'll burn out.
Which in college football, I think is probably fine.
Well, because
they don't
there's so
have a
much
choice.
Well, no, and also there's so much roster rotation. Every year, you're losing some, you're gaining some. In the NFL, you can have guys who are with the same franchise for decades. I mean, it's possible. Tom Brady, Matthew Slater in New England. I mean, think about some of the quarterbacks. I mean, Matthew Stafford, it felt like he was going to live this entire NFL life and die in Detroit, and nobody would have ever known it happened.
Yeah.
And then he got saved by the Rams and won a Super Bowl, but I digress. Yeah, I mean, I just look at the situation and I say to myself, like, goodness gracious, if Jim Harbaugh gets an NFL job, he better have learned from his last visit.
Yeah, but I mean, you could make the same argument, Rich Fletch, about Bill Belichick. I mean, the end of his time in New England has not been great. I mean, in fact, it's been a bit of a joke, but is anyone going to turn away from Bill Belichick?
Well, it's a lot different when you're talking about 6 Super Bowls with Bill Belichick versus 1 appearance in a Super Bowl. And like, how long was Harbaugh actually with the Niners? Was it 5 years? Was it even 5 seasons?
That feels right. I think it was 5 seasons.
But if it was 5 seasons, you already burnt everybody out by the 5th one. Belichick has decades of staying power in New England.
All right.
Yeah, but also Harbaugh, if you're looking at his record right now, is he the top coach in college?
Well, yeah.
He's playing in the national championship tonight.
That's what I'm saying. So then how do you go, we don't want him?
Different games.
It is. But I do understand what TD's saying. Fletch, I agree. They're different games. Trust me, they're different. But to TD's point, it's not just about winning. How can I describe? It's not just about winning on the field. It's also about winning off the field. Whoever signs Jim Harbaugh won like a sweepstakes, right? You know, they're obviously going to pay dearly for his services at the next level.
A la Shohei Ohtani.
Yeah, there's buzz and there's excitement, there's juice. The players will be excited. There'll be revived hope for whatever team. And if it goes well at first, like we know, if a coach is having early success, it can carry over. All right, so let's talk about a new coach who had his first season with a new team, Sean Payton with the Denver Broncos. So
how you doing, bud?
Yeah, let's check in.
Look,
with our resident Broncos fan, TD.
TD, you feeling okay?
Everything?
Yeah,
all right?
I mean,
everything all right at home?
That nice Rocky Mountain fresh air. How you feeling?
You know, it's not the greatest. I mean, I will say that the Coors isn't quite as cold.
Took
it's not
their
quite
under,
as tasty.
though, and hell, that helped you.
Well, no,
you'd be eating the chip if the Broncos didn't suck.
Well, I took their under because I didn't believe that Sean Payton was going to come in and fix Russell Wilson, and apparently neither did he, because they just sat him at the end. Which also I have some questions about, because I feel like there's nowhere in the contract with Russell Wilson, or maybe the Rich, you can speak to this.
Yeah,
the Players Association. They don't step in and go, whoa. You can't just sit a guy because you're afraid to play him because you'll have to pay him. That's the point of the contract.
Yeah, they got themselves, if what Russ expressed to the media is true, they got themselves in hot water with the way they handled this. And so I don't know how far Russell Wilson wants to take it. I don't know how far the NFLPA wants to take it, but NFL teams are not allowed to, like, in plain English, say, listen, you're going to be expensive if you get hurt. So we're going to bench you, okay? And we're going to keep you bubble wrapped. This way we don't screw up and hurt you, because we don't want to pay that escalator if you if you fail your physical this offseason. So not a good look for Sean Payton or the front office, Patton, the general manager there in Denver.
Yeah, and the problem is Wilson has had an okay season. It's not like his numbers have been terrible. He just hasn't had the wins. Russell Wilson, for whatever reason, and I guess I know some of the reasons that we see on the surface here, that he's just kind of a weird dude. He does not help a team gel.
Yeah.
And he's the outsider. It's Russell Wilson and the rest of the team. So if the guy driving the bus isn't connected with everybody else in it, it doesn't work.
You know who looked really connected at the end of the season? Jarrett Stidham. And they sat him for Stidham.
Yeah, sit him for Stidham.
And they got themselves a winner at QB. I don't know. They have a big decision to make at quarterback. this offseason. We'll see what they do in the draft. I don't know.
12th overall pick.
Yeah.
They're also Sean Payton feels a little dirty for some reason. Like
He is
like
literally.
I mean,
he's responsible for
not
one of the
shower.
biggest NFL cheating scandals of all time. Or
Yeah,
not cheating. Sorry,
Bountygate.
Bountygate.
Yeah,
Right,
when
not
they're
cheating.
Paying players to go hurt other players.
Which cool.
I mean, I'd take that check.
Kind of sounds like a movie.
Yeah.
Like, all right, we're gonna put a hit on Brett Favre. Okay, really quick. Kansas City. That was a very interesting, very wonky season for the Chiefs. They go into the postseason as the 3 seed. I don't know, man. Like Kansas City facing the Dolphins, they get them at home. They beat them, obviously, on a neutral field the first time around. But how are we feeling about the Chiefs against the Dolphins at Arrowhead on Super Wild Card Weekend? That's a Saturday kickoff.
It's gonna be cold as hell.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It is
10
going to be
degrees.
frozen at Arrowhead Stadium, but I cannot wait for this game.
Do they advance?
I think the Chiefs win.
Yeah, I think the Chiefs win too. I think the weather has a big part in it. The Chiefs have had a rocky season, and so much so where I start to question the Chiefs for the first time in 5 years. But I still got to go. They have Patrick Mahomes, who figures out a way to win. Also, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I guess in the same manner that I'm looking at the Ravens going, hey, look, the Ravens are going to have to prove to me that they can go and win. I'm looking at the Chiefs going, I guess the Chiefs are going to have to prove to me that they can't win.
Yeah. Yeah, no, everything you just said makes a ton of sense.
I also feel more strongly about the Dolphins in this game than I do the Chiefs. Like, I think the Dolphins showed us a lot last night. When the game was going like Mike McDaniel wanted the game to go, it was like, oh, Dolphins are going to cruise to this one. But as soon as that punt return happened,
Adversity.
something flipped.
I'm with you. I just don't, in big games, I don't trust the Dolphins at all. The same way I don't trust the Dallas Cowboys on the road. Like the Miami Dolphins in big games the whole season, like their biggest win is beating the Dallas Cowboys at home.
Yeah.
I mean, that was their biggest
In
win.
Miami.
In Miami, at home. Yeah, they beat the Dallas Cowboys in Miami. And I remember thinking, and they barely beat them, by the way. I remember thinking to myself, like, yeah, this is what you do when you feast against the weakest schedule in the NFL. You barely survive against a terrible road team who has talent. Granted, Dallas is very talented, but they've struggled on the road all season long. So, yeah, I think the Chiefs roll. I don't think it's particularly close. I agree with you, TD, about the elements. I think Arrowhead helps them out. That energy of that crowd.
Yeah.
I mean, Taylor Swift starting at slot receiver.
That's right.
Probably.
They're
Here's
right.
some headlines that'll come.
Help.
I can already tell the way this is going to go because this is how the NFL script was going to be written. Patrick Mahomes is going to throw for 320 yards and 2 touchdowns. Travis Kelce is going to be responsible for both of those touchdowns. All the articles coming out the next day is going to be like, everything's fixed in Kansas City. Travis Kelce breaks the Taylor Swift curse. It's going to be bad.
All right.
Get ready to get nauseous.
I feel like the script, in order for me to really start to buy into the script, now Travis Kelce has to have the most amazing postseason of his career, and then he'll ride away on a white horse with Taylor off into the sunset.
you just see his bare ass cheeks on the back of a white horse. And like
Which one's wider?
She's wearing like a sequin dress, and she's got the reins. Just here we go, off into the distance. All right.
What was that noise?
That's what you do. You're a little kid. Yeah. I don't even know. There you go. Just got a lasso and a handkerchief.
Yeah.
All right. Coming up next, we'll get to our morning monologues. Also, I failed to mention this earlier. None of us have talked about this pair of tickets to Def Leppard and Journey, Petco Park, August 30th. This is a huge show.
It's weird. TD and I talked about it.
Sorry, guys. Tickets and info available at livenation.com. Keep listening for your chance to win. You keep listening. I did not listen at all, apparently, when that was discussed earlier. I apologize to both of you. Morning monologues coming up next, but I do want to talk to you about getting your testosterone checked. Don't wait until your 40s, your 50s, your 60s. This is a problem that is starting to have an effect, or maybe always has had an effect on people in their 30s. I know it's had effect on me. I'm 37 years old. I did not expect to have lower on the scale testosterone, but that's exactly where I was. So the scale goes like this: 300 to 1,000. Yeah, you have to fall in that range if you're in your late 30s. Well, I was in the low 3s. And I don't want to be low average. I want to have more energy. I want to have the appropriate amount of testosterone to get me through the day from point A to point B. I found myself feeling sluggish anytime I was trying to do exercise or anytime I had to exert myself physically. You're in the backyard with the kids, you're just goofing around, pushing them on the swing set. And after 30 minutes, you're like, geez, I kind of want to sit down. That's not the way it should be, not in your late 30s. And so it doesn't matter if you're 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, shoot, even in your early 70s, get your T levels checked with my doctor, Dr. Roy David, over at the Man Zone at Golden Triangle Plastic Surgery. So he's a board certified plastic surgeon, highly trusted in that field. And he's getting into this space because it's something he's very, very passionate about. He wants to help men feel better, look better, improve their health overall. There are tons of studies linked to appropriate testosterone levels and having better health overall, meaning general health, fighting off disease and things like that, but also keeping your musculature later in life. They're finding out that people who keep their muscles, they when they face surgeries or they face sickness or illness or anything, they're better suited for life as they get older. And the aging process, as we know, it's undaunting. It never stops. So get your T levels checked today. Again, don't wait until you're 40 years old. Don't wait until you're 50 years old. Do it like I did. Start getting your T levels checked in your 30. You may find out something about yourself you didn't know. And if you're going to do that, do it over at the Man Zone with Dr. Roy David, who's a double board certified plastic surgeon with Golden Triangle Plastic Surgery. Check him out at themanzone.com. That's themanzone.com.
This update is presented by Progressive Insurance. Starting off in the NFL, the regular season in the books. The playoffs are now set in the AFC. Baltimore will get the 1 seed and the bye week. Texans host the Browns. Chiefs got the Dolphins, and the Buffalo Bills clinch the 2 seed. They're going to host Pittsburgh. In the NFC, Niners get the 1 seed and the week off. Bucks are going to host the Eagles. 3 seed Lions host the 6 seed Rams, and Green Bay is going to travel to Dallas. They got the Cowboys. College hoops, Aztecs have now won 3 straight games by double digits, beating UNLV on Saturday 72-61. San Diego State expected to be back in the AP top 25 when the poll gets released today. Michigan and Washington in the football national championship for college at 4:30 tonight. It's going to be at NRG Stadium in Houston. Progressive Commercial Insurance flexes to fit your business's needs, from quick repairs to adjustable coverages and even payment options. Progressive Commercial makes it easy to get what you need. Quote today in as little as 6 minutes at progressivecommercial.com.
Big Rich, Chidi, and Fletch, San Diego Sports 760. And coming up here in just a few minutes, we have a pair of tickets to see Def Leppard and Journey. Good Lord, this is going to be a show at Petco Park on August 30th. Tickets and info available at livenation.com, or just keep listening here for your chance to win. Fletch, I have bid on the 2-pack of Pocky One Chips. That would give us 3.
I feel like we should just eat the one chip that we already have. Just split it 3 ways.
Split it 3 ways? Yes. Rich, we just talked about it. Def Leppard, Journey, Petco Park, August 30th. Keep listening for your chance to win.
Sorry.
Yep.
Sorry, guys. I'm back.
I have bid on the 2-pack of Pocky One Chips. Fletch wants us to split the 1 chip we have.
No.
You just take a nail, you put it right in the middle, and you give it a tap, tap, tap. And then
What?
Splits into 3 beautiful pieces. Travis knows how to work tools.
You cannot back out of another thing.
I'm not backing out of anything.
We have to toughen up Fletch. That is our goal of 2024.
Well, my credit card's in, so if I submitted an offer. If he takes the offer, it's done. They're on their way.
Also, by the way,
wait, hold on. Why are you trying to back out of this, Fletch? You're the one who brought this in.
I'm just saying we could be done with it in 10 minutes. We could be done with this.
No. I want you to have the full force of the flavor.
By the way, I ate one of those spicy ramens because I was super congested. And so I needed to get stuff out of my system. I ate one of the spicy ramens. It worked, and I cried.
Wow. Because I feel like spicy ramen is far below one of these death chips.
So the death chip. So the spicy ramen is like hitting like a baseball off of a tee, and the spicy death chip that we're going to be eating is more like facing the big unit, the big unit, Randy Johnson, or the long unit, whatever they call them.
And you're the bird.
And you are the bird. You are the seagull flying across the path, and it's just going to be a feather explosion. Good Lord.
Sounds like fun.
Yeah. Oh, it's gonna suck so bad. But you're gonna be you're gonna be a little tougher on the other side.
We should prep. We should have some of those like push pops. The push-ups.
Okay.
The yogurt push-ups. We need some milk.
The only rule is you really try to hold off drinking or eating anything to stave off the heat for as long as you can.
Yeah, screw that.
And if you hold off as long as you can. But you can have all the supplies around you. So if you want a cup of milk, you want a push pop, like you said, like a Flintstones push pop.
I could have
this is already the punishment.
I could do that right now.
It's not like we're challenging each other with the 1 chip challenge to see who can hold off the longest. No, once you eat it, the punishment's in the books. It's over. Time to eat.
But the Pocky 1 chip challenge, challenge is to see how long you can go.
It's a challenge within the challenge, Fletch.
Yeah.
Challenge within the challenge.
Then there was a breakdown I saw that was like 30 seconds. You are an idiot. And at 1 minute, and then at a minute and a half, like, hey, high five.
Serial killer.
Yeah. 10 minutes, you are a certifiable sociopath.
You go to prison.
Yeah. They actually come and get you if they find out you haven't drank or anything at 10-minute mark. Let's do the morning monologue. Plenty more to get to. Some breaking news out of the NFL. We've had some firings. We'll get to that next. In fact, maybe one of the monologues will be about that. But who wants to get started today on this glorious Monday? Fletch? All right, why don't you start us off? Yeah, Fletch, why don't you lead us through this one? What's on your mind?
Well, I will. And I think that there's an excellent opportunity for Detroit Lions fans. And I think that they need to take this very, very seriously. So the tailgate ahead of the game between the Lions and the Rams is going to be one of epic proportion. When's the last time the Lions actually got to host a playoff game? I think it was before I was born. So when you're going into this, just make sure you have Adele cranked all the way to 15 on your speakers.
Adele?
Hello from the other side.
Okay, it's a loose connection, but what bring us to Providence here, Fletch.
Matthew Stafford coming home, but it's hello from the other side because Matthew Stafford is going to be playing for the Rams. I think this is the best game, bar none, of Super Wildcard Weekend because of all the emotional storylines that come with it. Detroit loves Matthew Stafford the way San Diego loves Phillip Rivers. Like, let's be very clear about that. They have a huge emotional connection to Matthew Stafford, and he's about to come in and beat them on Super Wildcard Weekend and really make being a Lions fan the worst thing ever because they didn't want him gone in the first place, and now he's going to be the one that ruins their best season since before I was born. This is going to be a rough night for you Detroit fans.
Wow. See, so you are all in on the Rams taking this thing. I go either way as I start to break down each side of this. I think the Lions have a very good shot of moving on.
Man, I'll tell you what, I really like the Rams in this game. Road team, difficult, but this is a tenured staff. They've won a Super Bowl together. Stafford and McVay and Aaron Donald. Kyron Williams, their running back, has had a sensational finish to the season. Puka Nacua, potential offensive rookie of the year.
Like the best rookie receiving season ever.
Yeah.
Outdoing Anquan Bolden and Jalen Waddle from a couple years ago.
You look at Cooper Kupp, the season he's had. I mean, this offense is humming. And even though it's a bunch of kids around Aaron Donald defensively, they've been good too. Okay, I'll go next, and I want to talk about a quarterback also. But I want to talk about a quarterback who I think is getting overhyped heading into the postseason, and that quarterback is Lamar Jackson. I'm going to bring you guys back to 2019. Lamar Jackson, he won the MVP. Lamar Jackson won the MVP.
Mm-hmm.
And guess what? The Baltimore Ravens were a 13-win football team. And guess what? Baltimore Ravens locked up the 1 seed. And guess what? With that bye week, they rested Lamar in the game the final week of the regular season. And guess what? They got absolutely dominated in the opening round of the postseason to the Tennessee Titans. That offense, that vaunted Baltimore offense, who was deemed a juggernaut, just like this 2023 offense, it fell by the wayside. They were held to 3 points. The Titans, I think, only scored 14 in the game and advanced. I think that those who don't respect history are doomed to repeat it. I have zero faith in the Baltimore Ravens in the divisional round. I put them on fraud alert.
Yeah, I don't necessarily disagree with you. It's hard for me, though, to keep looking back at time. I know we do that a lot because that's the record book. That is the way we go back in the stats and go, well, it didn't happen here in 2019, so it's probably not going to happen now. I try to digress from that because it's not the same team. I understand it's still Lamar Jackson, but it's not the same team. And I mean, I think that if the Ravens just keep it together like they have been the entire season, the Ravens are in the Super Bowl. However, I still don't have the trust factor. I'm with you on board with that. I'm there.
If all the favorites win, that means Houston will be playing against Baltimore in the second round. That feels like a Baltimore win. But then if they get Buffalo, I don't know. This might be the year Buffalo Bills end up in the Super Bowl.
I mean, yeah. I get. Well, let's put it this way. If you have a situation where, like the Browns or the Houston Texans knock off Baltimore,
yeah.
I mean, then yeah, I could see the Buffalo Bills rolling. But I don't know. I just look. I can't. I don't like Baltimore. I don't like them in the postseason. I need to see Lamar Jackson have success in the postseason.
Right. By the way, no one mentioned the Chiefs here, which, I mean, you're counting out the Chiefs.
They'd be the 3 seed, so they would have to take out Buffalo for Baltimore.
Right.
It's tricky how it gets there, but like best case scenario for Baltimore, they're playing Pittsburgh in the divisional round.
I really want Browns-Lions. Browns-Lions Super Bowl. I think that would be great.
Weird Super Bowl.
That would be so great.
I'm just going to say this out loud just so somebody stated it, because this hype train around Baltimore and Lamar, the reason why my monologue was about Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens, his playoff record is 1-3. And by the way, he could have played in the playoffs last year, but he had an injury.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. I remember that conversation.
Yeah. So
what was that injury?
He had an injury.
We don't know.
We don't know. But he was injured, and he said he was. So there.
He got injured with the total gym.
No, you wouldn't get injured with that. That is fail safe.
And by the way, they lost that game too.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not his fault, but they lost that game.
Right.
It might be his fault. I mean, if he could have played, I don't know. I mean, he was injured. Okay, moving on.
Yeah. My morning monologue is, well, a little bit of a cautionary tale here, because when did the human race decide that we all wanted to carry around canteens? Because I never carried a water bottle as a kid. I never carried a thermos. I never carried a Stanley cup. Right. We just rode around on our bikes all day. And when we got thirsty, we found a hose.
Yeah.
Or maybe you'd run inside. You'd have a glass of water. And by the way, when we were kids, we were told we needed 8 glasses of water. That was always like the PSA. You need 8 glasses of water a day. And then all of a sudden, it became you need 8 bottles of water sometime in the last few years, which would be 16 glasses of water a day. So my fear is, one, were we just super dehydrated as kids or something? Like we were shriveled up? 2, is this going to be the end of humanity? Because I'm thinking that your kids, Rich, Fletch, pretty soon they're going to be told they have to drink 32 glasses of water a day. All they're going to be doing is peeing and drinking all day long. There will be no room for work.
Okay, to answer your question, the reason, and this might be considered a conspiracy theory. I know people are going to say it's ridiculous sounding, but the reason why big water is pushing you to drink is because it's a commodity now. When we were kids, water was free. Nobody thought of, but as soon as they started bottling water and selling it to us for $1, well, back then it was less than $1.
Right.
That's when all of a sudden you heard everybody like, oh, you're dehydrated. Nobody talked about your hydration before they started selling us something that was free, something that you could get from the tap.
But electrolytes.
Electrolytes.
You get out of a Gatorade. Everybody knows
Dude,
that.
you know where electrolytes came from before you drank it out of your core water over there? You got it from a banana. You got it from eating a pickle because it has sodium in it. It's potassium and sodium. You got it from food.
And you also got it from Gatorade.
From Gatorade.
Yeah.
I like drinking my electrolytes. And that was a recommendation from Wayne and Chloe, our weight loss team over at stfatloss.com.
Yeah.
And you know what? I've been doing it, and it's been working because I was tired of the yo-yo dieting. I was tired of the fad medications. We were trying all of them, by the way. We went keto. We went carnivore. None of those actually worked. Like, we did paleo, too. None of them, they might work in the short term, but then you realize that you're going to lose a little weight, but it's just from temporarily suppressing your hunger. As soon as you get off the drug or the fad diet, your frustration and your weight come right back to haunt you. That's what it did to us. And then some. But if the 3 of us can do stfatloss.com, who are we kidding? You can too, because the 3 of us are idiots and we all lost a lot of weight. We lost 30 plus pounds each on stfatloss.com, and I'm going back in for some more. I'm trying to get down into the 2 teens, which I haven't been in since college. But guess what? I hadn't been in the 230s since college, and that's where I'm at right now. And that's thanks to stfatloss.com, Wayne and Chloe over there, because gone are their starvation diet plans. Do away with the latest fads and their long list of side effects. Get on over to stfatloss.com. Get your free consultation today and tell Wayne and Chloe I said, hey.
Yeah.
Okay.
High fives.
Wow.
High fives all around.
That was jarring and abrupt. All right.
I can't talk, guys.
Yeah, I know.
My voice is struggling.
It's all right. You're fine.
It's fine.
No, honestly, Wayne and Chloe are awesome people. stfatloss.com.
Tell them we all said hi.
Yeah, tell them we say hi. We've been crushing this plan for months now, and you should get started too, because I've been getting these DMs from people who have started the plan since we started talking about it. And one of our listeners has lost 45 pounds now. Wow. His initial goal was 20. He's beat his initial goal by 25 pounds. Wow. He's lost 45 pounds. Unbelievably proud of him.
A husband and wife couple who actually live up in Merced who are doing stfatloss.com. They've both lost 30 plus pounds.
It's awesome. It really is. It works for us. It can work for you. All right. Coming up next, a home reunion. Also, what's next for the team on the bye on the other side?
Coming up, we break down more of these games in the NFL. Big Rich, TD, and Fletch, San Diego Sports 760. We are keeping an eye out here for, well, maybe some more fire-ins coming up. It is Black Monday, so there will be some heads rolling here in the NFL. We can guarantee you that. We saw Arthur Smith fired yesterday. I guess that was yesterday, right? He came out. He was very angry at his opponent. What happened there on the field, getting blown out, and then he was immediately let go. Ron Rivera fired this morning. He's out in Washington.
The best part about the Arthur Smith blow up was the fact that Jameis Winston was the one that called the play.
Right.
Like Jameis Winston was the one in the huddle was like, hey, let's get Jamal a touchdown.
Yeah. I have no problem with it. I mean, I don't care. I could see you being upset if you're the opponent going, what the heck, man? Why you got to run it up on us? But whatever, you're there to play. Go out there and play.
I'll find the sound for the 8 o'clock hour, but Jameis Winston talking about it at his locker post game he's like, yeah, no, that wasn't Dennis Allen's decision. We just in the huddle decided that we wanted to get Jamal a touchdown.
Yeah, we should play. So Jameis Winston had 2 separate interactions with the media in the locker room post game that we will play for you in the 8 o'clock hour. They are both hysterical. He's
not a real person.
Oh, I think he's an actual cartoon character. I think somebody drew him and then he came to life one day. It's like Frosty the Snowman. Like they found a silk hat and they put it on him and they're just like, oh, wow. Well, he
hasn't always been this way though. Like I remember his Hard Knocks when he was back with the Bucks. He seemed like a really great guy.
Oh no, he was weird as hell back then.
He knew every single person's name when he walked in.
He still does. He's a nice guy. He is I don't want to characterize him as like nuts or a madman or anything like that. But there is a scene in that locker room when he is reciting a poem to the team, and then afterward, Ryan Fitzpatrick is sitting next to him, his backup at the time. And he's like, how do you think that went? And he was like, yeah, the poem was, it was very good. It was a little long. Like, he's just kind of a weird guy, which can be endearing at times.
He's gotten weirder, though.
Yeah, well, that's what happens when people get comfortable. Like it only gets weirder from here, guys. Like the version of yourself, whatever, Fletch, and like this is especially true for you because you're still in your 20s. But the version of yourself right now, I promise you, as you get older, into your late 30s, now TD, you're into your 40s.
Yes.
You only become weirder because you become more comfortable being who you are.
Yeah.
And you become less cognizant of what anybody thinks about you. You're just like, you know what? Screw you if you don't like it. And because I like dipping pickles in peanut butter at work.
Yeah. And then they say when you get to 50, you get to the F at 50s, which may hit at 44 for me. I'm just saying.
He's getting real
close. F at 40s, I like it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds awesome.
That could be a segment on this show.
Hey, really quick, want to take a quick look at that? That actually should be. When we all reach 40 and we're doing the show in about 20 years, we'll all be 40. We absolutely need to build that
I got
up.
less than that.
I got 13 years.
Oh, 13. Oh,
Oh
wow.
my God.
You're
In
like-
13 years, I'm going to be pushing 60.
That's fine.
Well,
Travis is going to be retired.
Oh, no.
I hope so.
CD's going to have like 4 grandkids by the time I'm 40.
Look, oh, jeez.
Ugh.
Oh, my, that makes my stomach
Room is
hurt.
spinning.
Oh, my gosh.
God.
I'm going to have a lot more Christmas presents to get.
That's right. You guys
Um,
better load up. By the way, congratulations in order.
No.
Yeah,
no
are you- is
congratulations.
Kendall
Guys,
expecting?
I've literally been sleeping by myself in the sick bay at our house.
Okay.
I mean,
You ever hear of immaculate conception?
or I mean, you don't need to be there, really.
That's a good point. You could just donate.
Yeah, exactly.
Slide it under the door. So the NFC West is interesting, right, gang?
Easy segue.
And if your name rhymes with the Schmorty Schminers, it does.
Yeah.
Wow.
So the Niners on the bye week, super wild card round. We know, Fletch. They
Is
they
that
wait
good?
and see.
Is that
Yeah, that's
you
good.
want to be the 1 seed,
It
right?
is good. Well, the Rams beat him with Carson Wentz, loser.
Yeah.
It's Sam Darnold.
Carson Wentz looked amazing.
He really did.
Yeah.
Man, that's Sean McVay. He can really call a game. But the Rams face Detroit next. So really quick, Stafford going to Detroit. Do we all think that feels like a Rams victory? Or which one of us? I forget who it was.
I got Rams.
You got Rams.
I got Detroit here.
You got Detroit.
I got Detroit.
Okay.
And
I'm
I
with
think,
you, Fletch.
I think the Rams are the sneaky team here. I think the Rams could do some damage, especially if they get by Detroit. And then all of a sudden there's a little more confidence there.
Let's put it this way. I think the Rams are going to win. I'm rooting for Detroit to win. I want
Right.
Detroit to get that postseason victory. Okay, let's talk about it. Seattle, they wrote it, but he didn't write back. Is Geno still the starting quarterback next season for the Seattle Seahawks?
This is Matthew
a lot.
Stafford
I like this a lot.
walking into.
I know, but I like this song so much.
Yeah,
Just keep it
just
playing.
keep it
Just keep
going.
it rolling.
Geno Smith next year. That it's tricky. They didn't make the playoffs.
Right.
So sad, Seattle. Sorry. Even though you did help TD not eat the chip by himself. I say
true.
no. No
Okay.
Geno Smith next year. I do think they go to the draft this year. I think Pete Carroll might be out.
Interesting.
Wow.
And I think that they are
Is
going
that
to.
announced today, you think?
No, I think that this is going to be more of a hey, Pete and I, or Pete and the ownership group, we talked and understand that it's time for both of us to move apart.
But time is of the
Wow.
essence. Like, you got to get out there and get your new head coach in a hurry.
Does Pete go to Los Angeles in your eyes? In your mind?
Ooh, back to LA with
Yeah.
the Chargers
Yeah.
instead
Damn.
of USC?
Yeah.
That would be
That could
insane. Oh, boy.
That could work.
How many
We've
years
come a
on is
long
it?
way from is Geno Smith going to be starting
I
next
know,
year?
I
By
know.
the
Okay,
way,
there's
dude.
my answer. No, Geno Smith is not starting. They go to the draft, they get a quarterback, but Drew Lock starts next year.
Okay, how about this?
I like Drew Lock.
Penix Jr. gets drafted by the Seattle Seahawks.
I would love that. Also,
Stays in the Pacific Northwest.
he's not going to be available by that time. I hope.
Yeah.
He's like right now they have him going at like 12. I'm like, that is the if not the number
Hmm.
one, the number 2 overall quarterback on the draft board.
Where does Seattle select this year?
Late.
Late? Yeah.
They got all the way. They were just outside of the postseason.
Yeah, I know, but I think they're still in the single digits in terms of wins. They can't be too high up.
Seattle is 16 right now,
Yeah.
which they're locked in because the only draft order left to be decided is people who are in the postseason.
Cardinals, it looks like they're keeping Gannon as their head coach. It looks like they're keeping Kyler Murray as their quarterback. Did they make a mistake on either of those decisions?
I mean, I just don't think the Cardinals want to win.
It's also
I think they
the
want to be in this boat.
We give up.
yeah.
Rich. I mean, zero offense to you and your playing days in Arizona. It's the Cardinals.
Right.
Yeah, they had a good year.
Like they lucked into Kurt Warner.
Okay.
Congratulations.
Well, what about
Hold
Carson
on.
Palmer and Bruce Arians had a little bit
Larry
of a run there?
Fitzgerald.
Larry Fitz.
They luck into some guys. They really do.
No, I mean they
Think about what they were trying to build around Kyler Murray. Like, if we really think about how big of a disaster this actually has been in
Right.
Arizona, they like mortgage everything to bring in DeAndre Hopkins, to bring in JJ Watt, thinking that something as good is going to happen in Arizona for once.
It didn't.
How many wins did they get? They get 5
Did not.
wins.
Okay.
Yeah,
A lot
but
of
they got a
guys,
stadium.
people
They,
got
they have
hurt.
4 wins this year. 4 wins.
Kyler with the video games. All right, San Francisco. Do they win the Super Bowl?
Hell yeah, brother.
Okay. Of course. Fletch
I
is
actually-
a San Francisco honk, and there's no other answer I would accept from you.
Right,
I got money to win if the Niners win the
There you
Super
go,
Bowl,
man.
man.
Yeah, that's super cool. I like that.
It's your money, actually.
You almost got coffee all over you. Holy cow.
I just look, it's paid out a lot of money this season, is all I'm saying. I'd rather not pay a little more. However, it feels like San Francisco will win the Super Bowl right now. Unless...
No, I got 2 words for you. Flacco. Joe Flacco is elite.
The Browns did destroy us earlier this year. That was before
that
Flacco.
would be amazing.
Dude,
That would be amazing.
Browns
Now-
also like to hurt people.
Well,
They
guess
like
what?
hurt our entire team.
Guess what? San Francisco doesn't fare well against Baltimore either.
That's a good point.
Different.
Yeah.
I got reasons for that
ran
one.
into that buzzsaw.
Yeah. Right. Right.
Um,
So, I mean, do they make it to the Super Bowl? Probably. Do they win? I guess there's questions there.
Yeah, there's questions. There's some questions, but overall, an amazing season
God,
for
I can't wait
Kyle
for the Niners
Shanahan,
to
Brock
kick
Purdy.
the crap out of the Cowboys in the NFC Championship game.
I hope the Eagles upset the Niners again. Just
God, no. I mean, Fletch would be inconsolable if that happens.
I wouldn't come to work.
We would be scraping him off the ground. It would be like
I
when you-
made that mistake last year. I came to work the day after the NFC Championship game. I will never do that again.
It's like when you try to bring your dog to the vet and you know the dog knows and it just goes limp body on you and you're just like, come on, you're a 70-pound dog.
listen, here's a text we got at 2:43 p.m. yesterday. The effing Eagles are going to be the team that F's you guys, and I love it. And then 2 minutes later, everyone laughed when I took their under. Ha ha. That's from Fletch.
Yeah.
I put in parentheses.
You did say rightfully so. I was betting with my heart, not my brain.
Told you guys for 2 years, them sons of
Well,
were overrated.
yeah,
Yeah.
she gets so excited. All right, coming up next, we will play that Jameis Winston sound for you. Post game, locker room, talking about how he snuck one in there to Jamal Williams, Dennis Allen, his reaction, the Saints head coach. This may or may not have gotten Artie Smith fired over there with the Atlanta Falcons. I mean, big problems in Atlanta as a result from the outcome of the Saints game. They couldn't even wait till Monday. They wanted to get rid of him so bad. And then we'll take a closer look at the playoff picture on the other side as well. Okay, listen, if you're looking for a world-class dentist, all procedures done in this, which is so convenient, who's had major dental work, you need to go visit my dentist, Dr. Jordan Colby of Ocean View Dental. So the reason why I say everything done in the office is the best thing that's ever happened to me in terms of a dental appointment is because I had a massive amount of dental work to be done. I was missing 3 molars, the big teeth in the back that you chew with. Yeah, couldn't eat steak really. It was awful. I needed 1 tooth extracted. I needed 3 implants put in, and I didn't know where to start. I was told this was going to be a 1.5 year long process by my former dentist, and I was nervous. I didn't want to get started because I didn't want to start the clock on a 1.5 year. That sounded daunting. But when I talked to Dr. Jordan Colby, he said, we could do this in 3 months and we could do it all in the same office. You'll have your imaging done here. We'll make your plan here. We'll order out the implants. We'll have them come in. I'll do all the work myself. And he did. And it's been fantastic. This was about 4 months ago. My teeth have never felt better. I've never looked better. And I can now live my life the way I want to. Oceanviewdental.net. That's oceanviewdental.net. I want you to go to that website and book your first appointment with them. Even if you don't need major dental work, you could just have your teeth cleaned. You could go in for your dental visits, your routine, yearly, annual, semi-annual dental visits, whatever it is. Dr. Colby created a family environment at Ocean View Dental. He has one office in Fallbrook that also provides excellent care for your whole family. And he has all the latest advanced toys and technology in the industry. Everything is done in office. Like I said, digital x-rays, 3D CT imaging, dental lasers, Invisalign, veneers, so much more. Again, go to oceanviewdental.net. That's oceanviewdental.net.
It's hour 3 on Big Rich, TD, and Fletch. This update presented by Progressive Insurance. Starting off in the NFL, regular season is in the books. In the AFC, Baltimore will get the 1 seed and the bye week. Texans will host the Browns. The Chiefs are going to host Miami. Buffalo Bills clinch the 2 seed. They got Pittsburgh in Super Wild Card weekend. In the NFC, Niners get the 1 seed in the bye week. Bucks are going to host the Eagles. 3 seed Lions host the 6 seed Rams. Green Bay is going to travel to Dallas. They got the Cowboys. College hoops, Aztecs have now won 3 straight games by double digits, beating UNLV on Saturday, 72-61. San Diego State expected to be back in the AP top 25 when the poll gets released a little later on, hopefully this hour. Michigan and Washington will play for the national championship tonight at 4:30 in college football. That's going to be at NRG Stadium in Houston. Progressive Commercial Insurance flexes to fit your business's needs. From quick repairs to adjustable coverages and even payment options, Progressive Commercial makes it easy to get what you need. Quote today in as little as 6 minutes at progressivecommercial.com.
Ah, woo! Happy Monday to those who celebrate. Big Rich, TD, and Fletch with you on this glorious Monday morning. We've had a packed show so far. We will continue on dumping all of this NFL knowledge into your laps as you make your way to wherever you're heading this morning. As long as you're listening to us on the free iHeartRadio app, we have zero complaints. Download it now. Good spot for music, podcasts, obviously our show, and our podcast, because Benjamin Fletcher, our very own, he posts a podcast within minutes of the end of our show. So if you don't want to miss anything, follow us, like us, review us, give us 5 stars, all those things on the free iHeartRadio app.
Also, don't think that if you're listening on the app and you go, oh, well, if they're a minute behind or so, that you're going to miss out on the pair of tickets to go see Def Leppard and Journey at Petco Park on August 30th, which, by the way, you can go to livenation.com if you're looking for tickets and info. But if you want to win them, keep listening, either right here, AM 760, or on the free iHeartRadio app, because we're going to give you a time to call in. So not yet, but we're going to give you a time here shortly.
Can't believe you guys haven't mentioned the smart speakers.
Oh, yeah.
Rich, what do you yell at your Alexa every morning?
I say, hey, Alexa, could you please play San Diego Sports 760 on the free iHeartRadio app? And then it usually sends them like, bloop, bloop, bloop. You know, Rich, you always ask me things. You never say please. I'm just like, sorry, Alexa, please. And then she goes, would you like to do this in whisper mode? I'm like, no, stop asking me that question. My wife's in the room. What, honey? Why is the Alexa whispering to you again? Annie, it's fine. Could you please stop this? I mean,
Do they have whisper mode? Because
dude, yes, they do.
They do?
Yes.
It gets weird.
So if you whisper, what's really creepy is if you whisper to your Alexa, if I go, hey, Alexa, turn on San Diego Sports 760 on the free iHeartRadio, what she'll do is she'll say, okay, Rich, and by the way, if you'd like me to stay on whisper mode, I will. I'll do it for you. And she does.
See, I have the Google. So I need to see if the Google has whisper mode. That'd be great. I want
Google
that
have a
only.
cool name. Like Amazon has Alexa, Apple has Siri.
Nope. You call it Google.
Yeah.
That's lame.
You want to hear something funny? Nobody taught at the time, Sebastian, who's 5 now, but he was like 2 years old. Nobody taught him to say, hey, Google. But for whatever reason, he called our Alexa Google for his entire toddler years. He would be like, hey, Google. And then he would, I don't know. I
am not Google.
Alexa would be like, I hate you. I hate your firstborn. That's actually my secondborn.
Well, anyways, so use that technology.
Yeah, it's
I
great.
spit on myself.
Yeah, it's great. It's really fantastic. You know what would be interesting if at some point we find out that the excuse the Saints players use for scoring a touchdown, a gratuitous touchdown at the end of the Atlanta game, is because they're like, oh no, the technology failed. We just didn't hear you call the play in. And so we just guessed you wanted us to run it in and run the score up to 48 points against the Saints in the closing moments of the game.
While appearing to be in victory formation.
Right.
Yeah.
We were confused.
Listen, I would use that play in in just some other time period.
Oh my gosh.
They're down by 6.
Can you imagine if like Madden puts that into the Saints playbook for next season, like the update, the fake Neil rush? Okay, so that's what happened. The Saints didn't need any more points. They had piled up a ton against the Falcons. The Falcons were getting blown out. And so this final score by Jamal Williams was in fact gratuitous and a little bit Bush League, a little bit cheap. I think the explanation is more adorable, though, than anyone had expected. Here's Jameis Winston, who was the starting, or I should say the quarterback at the time when this play was hatched and this plan went into practice.
That's Shannon Sharp Jr.
A little bit. You know what? There is a little bit of a similar cadence there. Jameis Winston is one of my favorite people because some of my favorite people are unintentionally funny. He is not trying to be funny.
Right.
That is Jameis Winston's normal speaking voice. That is the way he communicates. And I think it's hilarious. I have a hard time taking him seriously. Well, frankly, as a person or a quarterback, because everything he does is unintentionally funny to me. The way he trains in the offseason is unintentionally funny. You know, how many workouts have you seen Jameis do where you're like, what is he doing? He's blindfolded with his knees on top of a giant physio ball and they're throwing axes at him. Like they're every offseason. There's like, Jameis is in the lab again. I'm like, no, he's going to hurt himself.
That's the best. Bring more of that.
I love his energy.
He's not wrong. I mean, if they would have scored on the interception, would that be disrespectful? No, it wouldn't be disrespectful. But I mean, the fact that you tried to disguise the fact that you were just going to kneel down, a little disrespectful. However, I'm here for it. Bring more of this.
Yeah. What's the difference? By the way, Arthur Smith looked like a complete clown in his closing moments as the Atlanta Falcons head coach, because I mean, is it really that offensive to get beat by 31 instead of beaten by 24? So the score is 41-17. You feel that much better instead of being 48-17 going home. It's just such a, I mean, it's like, I'll play you the tiniest violin, Arthur. And then Dennis Allen does his team no favors because he gets to the post-game press conference and you heard what Jameis just said. Well, here's the head coach of the Saints.
Weak. Oh, I mean, come on.
Well, Dennis Allen is thinking about the 2 times next year that they play against the Atlanta Falcons.
But I mean, like, he knew what was happening with Arthur Smith and the Falcons. I mean, like, yeah, some of the players will be back. I understand. Like, there's holdover, but it's going to be a whole new staff. And in the first place, it's like, I can't stand it when coaches publicly admonish their players. Like, look, I'll give you a good example of a guy who at just about every turn with one of his star players could admonish him publicly and nobody would bat an eye. Steve Kerr with Draymond Green. Steve Kerr, who has been the head coach of the Golden State Warriors. He's had a lot more success than Dennis Allen. He's got a real firecracker on his hands with Draymond Green. He could come down on Draymond publicly and has plenty of opportunities to do it, and he never has. He's always defending him. He's always, listen, he's a passionate player. He's making excuses for him. I like that because guess what? You can handle business in-house. If you don't like what Jameis did out there, if you don't like what as Jameis put it, the team decision was to hand Jamal Williams the ball, which I'm sure there was like a tight end like, what the hell are we doing? You know, I mean, like,
How do you think that went in the huddle? Was it Jameis just like, guys, I got a crazy idea?
I
You're not going to believe this.
guarantee it. I guarantee it.
That was backyard football.
Oh,
That was and that's what makes it fun. I mean, that's the kind of stupid stuff you would do out on the.
Oh yeah. All right, okay, now everything we just heard. So imagine instead of Jameis Williams, same words, same cadence, same everything. Imagine instead of Jameis Williams, though, it's Russell Wilson.
Well, okay, hang on a second. Russell Wilson, Jameis Winston and his delivery style and his personality is unintentionally funny. Russell Wilson is trying to be funny when he's trying to be funny, and it makes it cringy.
Yeah.
So they're completely different people. If this is Russell Wilson, though, I think he clearly explains, like, look, our intention was to have Jamal score because we like him a lot.
Right.
He's important to this franchise. He's one of the nicest guys we have all ever met. He hadn't scored a touchdown yet this year, and he deserved it. So we don't feel bad about the decision. We're looking forward, not backward. And hopefully next season, when we face the Falcons, we keep up this spirited rivalry. I think
Jameis should have said that.
Well,
yeah, 1,000% he should have said that.
That would have worked a lot better.
But Jameis can't say that. So Jameis is like, look, this was a team decision. Like, I'm pretty sure everybody, all 46 active players on the sideline,
would have said what you just said. This isn't a story today.
I just love that it is.
Yeah, I'm happy it is too.
Well, anyways, in the aftermath, Arthur Smith gets fired. They didn't even wait until Black Monday. This was announced at 9 p.m. West Coast time, which means in Atlanta, it was midnight. They were like, you know what, buddy? Get the hell out of here.
Right.
I mean, pretty amazing. We'll get to that and some other firings and hirings actually in the NFL on the other side. But first, this.
Before I start going, TD, did you have any halftime score or NBA scores that you wanted to?
Yeah, I got NBA scores. You want to start with the NBA?
Yeah, why don't you go ahead and do your NBA scores?
Because we skipped it last hour.
Okay.
So,
well, the Lakers sailed by the Clippers, 106-103.
Do you understand that one?
I got it.
Okay.
The Grizzlies dwarf starred the Suns, 121-115.
I don't get that one.
Okay. It's a stage of a star. It's a dwarf star before it's a red giant, I believe.
Yeah, but our sun is considered a dwarf star.
Yeah, there you go.
The Nuggets threw a rod on the Pistons, 131-114.
It's a part of the engine block.
That sounds sexual.
It's not good.
The Raptors F-150 the Warriors, 133-118.
Boy, that's a reach.
F-150 Ford Raptor.
I understand.
Okay.
Moving right along.
And the Trailblazers trolled the Nets in overtime, 134-127.
All right, another news. We haven't talked about it at all today, but
troll fishing.
Michigan and Washington are going to play at 4:30 tonight for the College Football National Championship. I mean, there's not a whole ton of analysis you can do on this getting ready, but are you guys excited for the national championship in college football?
Well, yeah, we're going to break the whole game down in the 8:30 segment.
All right, college hoops. Aztecs, they've now won 3 straight games by double digits. The Gonzaga win, the Fresno State win, and then UNLV on Saturday, 72-61. San Diego State expected to be back in the top 25. I've been keeping an eye on it. Nothing yet. And then NFL, we've been talking about the playoff scenario the entire time, as we will continue to do so now.
Big Snake Jake Browning's girlfriend, apparently going skiing.
What was that outfit?
Right after the game.
Okay.
I'm not complaining about the outfit, but what was that outfit?
Okay. So if you were watching the Cincinnati Bengals Cleveland Browns game, Jeff Driscoll starting at quarterback for the Browns, Jake Browning, as he's been starting as the Bengals quarterback, and his girlfriend, they've done a good job. You know, the broadcast networks who have been broadcasting the Cincinnati games when it's a home game, because Joe Burrow has given his booth to the Jake Browning crew, which I think is a real class act move by Burrow. Browning's girlfriend's in the front row, and she was wearing skin tight ski suit.
Right. White, by the way. Snow white. Yeah.
Imagine if she spilled something.
Yeah, I mean, you want to stay away from the ketchup and mustard.
Yeah. But from the looks of her, I don't think she food isn't real. Like I don't. It doesn't seem like she eats a whole ton.
Yeah.
But anyways, That was a highlight an otherwise completely anonymous game in this schedule because it was meaningless.
Just doesn't seem like very functional clothing to be wearing.
Well, it is. If she might be going right to the slopes.
Okay. Also, side note, and I know this may be beyond the pale, but who cares? Our whole show is. She has to, as anybody who wears a unitard, has to get completely naked if she's going to pee.
That is very true.
I mean,
very
like,
true.
if you think about it, like, what an inconvenience. That's why I stopped wearing unitards.
that was one of the biggest problems I had when we bought those one piece jumper thing. Onesies.
Call
the
what
onesies.
they were.
Yeah.
I couldn't remember the name of
rompers.
The rompers.
Mine though had a zipper from the bottom part, and so I could.
From the bottom?
Yeah. So I could almost like periscope it out of there.
Oh yeah, my zipper. That's what I had to do. I had to go zipper all the way down and do almost like a squat,
which was very funny to watch on the golf course.
Just saying,
mine looked like
a lot that had to happen
when a submarine is just peeking over the surface of the water.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened with myself. Also, could not get out of it without help.
Oh yeah. Oh no, dude. Yeah, I came home and that took 15 minutes in the kitchen, and we did it in the kitchen because we needed room.
Dude, actually, all three fit a lot better in those now.
Yeah,
we should try those things back on.
Actually, I'm really glad you brought that up.
That's a good point.
Reason why we bought those when we were super fat,
right?
And now we're a lot less fat.
That's
I don't want to say skinny. We're still working towards skinny, but we're a lot less fat with sdfatloss.com. So we all started on this weight loss journey with skepticism, as I think a lot of people who start new diets or new diet plans or new lifestyle plans like SD Fat Loss is. And again, go to the website sdfatloss.com if you're interested in weight loss. And here's why. So like I said, we had these skepticisms. You've heard about all these yo-yo diets out there, meaning you lose a ton of weight and then you gain it all back. Like you get on a prescription drug, which has become really, really popular. And I have a feeling there may be some dangers associated with some of these prescription drugs. Got a feeling some of them are kind of being used off label.
Yeah, I was gonna say, because it's some of these are drugs not for weight loss.
Yeah, they're for diabetes, right, for other things.
Right.
But people are losing a ton of weight and then they're gaining it all back, and they're reporting some side effects and other issues not related to the weight loss. So
saggy butt.
Yeah, saggy butt syndrome. That's a thing. SBS. It's stricken this nation.
Right.
So yeah, we don't want you to have a saggy butt. We want you to have a nice taut butt.
Right. That if you put on a ski suit.
Right.
Yeah.
Like a unitard or a male romper. And you go golfing in it.
Right.
We want you to look good.
Real good.
Real good. SCFatLoss.com has the secret not only to quick weight loss, but most importantly, lasting weight loss. SCFatLoss.com has really changed our lives in a major way. So I lost, and I mean this when I say this, I lost 30 pounds immediately. Within 1 month, I was down 30 pounds. That was crazy, and I've kept it off. TD, he lost over 35 since starting the plan. Fletch, he's down something in the 40s now since starting this plan. I mean, it's absolutely absurd. And we've all been able to keep it off. We've all been able to stay down as a result of SDFatLoss.com. And Wayne and Chloe, the weight loss coaches, they couldn't have been any more helpful, and they continue to be along this process. We're in the maintenance phase. Actually, Fletch is back on the reduction phase. He wants to get down to the 2 teens. He's in the 230s currently. I'm in the maintenance phase, and I'm thinking about hopping back on the reduction phase as well here in the new year. But even in the maintenance phase, you get in touch with Wayne and Chloe. You have a question about diet, or if you want to start incorporating something else back into your diet, things like that. It's really beneficial to have people who are helping you and having a team around you. So 858-665-3211, or check them out at sdfatloss.com.
Coming up, we got to break down the national champion in our national championship game in college football. Coming up next.
This update is presented by Jackson Hewitt Tax Services, home of the Money Today guarantee. Starting off in the NFL regular season in the books, the playoffs are now set in the AFC. Baltimore is going to get the 1 seed and the bye week, so the Texans will host the Browns. Chiefs got Miami, and Buffalo Bills will clinch the 2 seed. They got Pittsburgh. In the NFC, Niners get the 1 seed in the bye week. Bucks will host the Eagles. 3 seed Lions got the 6 seed Rams, and the Green Bay Packers will travel to Dallas. They got the Cowboys. College hoops, Aztecs have now won 3 straight games by double digits, beating UNLV on Saturday 72-61. AP poll is lagging, but they are expected to be in it when it comes out. Michigan and Washington will play for the College Football National Championship at 4:30 tonight at NRG Stadium in Houston. Can't wait weeks for your tax refund? Then don't. At Jackson Hewitt, get money today if you're approved for a no-fee refund. Advanced loan on a prepaid card. Book today at jacksonhewitt.com. No fee refund advanced offered to eligible clients. Application required. Loans by Republic Bank. Details at jacksonhewitt.com.
Big Rich, TD, and Fletch, San Diego Sports 760, and you want to be listening this segment. If you'd like to win a pair of tickets to go see Def Leppard and Journey at Petco Park August 30th, tickets and info available at livenation.com, or just keep listening this segment for your chance to win. We'll let you know how to get those.
Big tickets.
Huge.
And you have to just hang on for 10 minutes.
Huge.
And you will find out
or
how you can
less. We don't know.
I know.
Wow. You're not supposed to just give it away like that. It's the tease. Hey, great news out in New York. Brian Dable fixing everything. He has fired the special teams and offensive line coaches. Huge.
Fixed.
Huge move.
Now fire Daniel Jones.
What?
That's the next step into fixing all these issues.
Yeah,
Which I don't even know that you can.
I don't think they can. I think they're locked in there. I don't think they can do that. I don't even know how many years they would have to wait.
Well, the Giants drafted 6 overall. You can get a pretty damn good quarterback at number 6 overall. Like, looking at the draft now, because it's all set except for the teams who are in the postseason. But Chicago's going to get the first overall pick because Carolina was terrible this year. The Washington Commanders have number 2, which that is a welcome billboard sign for Bill Belichick, if you ask me. New England Patriots have number 3, which is a welcome billboard sign for Mike Vrabel, if you ask me. Arizona Cardinals would have 4, Chargers at 5, because the Chargers only have 5 wins this season. Chargers had 5 wins this season.
Wow.
With that roster. Giants at 6, Titans at 7, Atlanta at 8, and Chicago once again at 9.
Yeah. You know what's interesting as we look around this season in the NFL, how many quarterbacks did not play well, starting quarterbacks. I mean, it seems like there was a lot.
Trevor Lawrence exposed.
He
was bad yesterday.
Man, oh
season
man.
On the line for the Jags, and Trevor Lawrence, who is the face of the franchise, who was your number 1 overall pick a couple years ago, who was supposed to fix the Jacksonville Jaguars, struggled yesterday.
Yeah. And you know what? The Jags, after they were out in Europe, holy smokes, man. They looked like they were going to be phenomenal and just could not get it together. But you're right. Trevor Lawrence choked. I mean, choked.
Lawrence, boy, the jury's out on him still. The jury is out on Trevor Lawrence.
It's starting to lean. Not in a good way.
Let me ask you this question. So it's Black Monday. We know that there may be more announcements in terms of head coaches. We're hearing about Bill Belichick. We're hearing about Pete Carroll potentially.
What Brian Dable just do? TD Phil Richin.
Oh yeah, I told him actually right before he walked out, fired the special teams and offensive line coaches. So everything's fixed in New York.
Yeah, the Giants are on path to win a Super Bowl next season. But how about that? Like in that same division, Nick Sirianni, they're a playoff team, but the 5 losses of the last 6 games. People in Philly, especially if it's a first round bounce, they're talking about after a Super Bowl appearance last season and a playoff appearance this year, firing Nick Sirianni.
Well, has he been exposed a little bit? Like his coordinators both left after last season because that's what happens with teams who make it to the Super Bowl. But now the Eagles look like a very different team with very similar parts. So is it the coaching? Is that the issue when you don't have your 2 coordinators?
Which brings you back to Doug Peterson, who was the last Philadelphia Eagles coach, and now with Jacksonville. The Eagles fired him for a reason, and I think part of it was due to the play starting to drop off from a wins and losses standpoint, but also I think there was a lot of headbutting in the front office. Could you see a situation in Jacksonville where they say, look, we just got it wrong twice in a row, and it's time to cut bait and fish in a different pond because Urban Meyer was a disaster. Peterson has recovered us well. Now we're something resembling a football team again. Is it time for Jacksonville to make a move?
Look, that Titans-Jags game got a little buried yesterday because of how much was going on, and it got buried on the show this morning because of how much happened yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
But in that game, if you were watching, Trevor Lawrence had multiple opportunities to win it, and he missed, guys. Calvin Ridley was wide open for a walk-in touchdown, and Trevor Lawrence missed him by about 5 yards.
Yeah.
Well, did he miss him? Because Calvin Ridley got both his hands on that football.
But it was too far out in front.
I know.
It was not a great pass.
It wasn't a great pass.
If
But
you're looking at Aaron Rodgers with a chance to get into the playoffs in years past, he makes that pass.
He does. Yeah, you got to be. Is he great? Is he good, or is he just good, or is he great? That's the question. That's the separator. Like that's what separates a Kirk Cousins from an Aaron Rodgers.
But it's also what Trevor Lawrence was supposed to be.
Well,
he was supposed to be the first can't miss prospect since Andrew Luck.
That's why I'm asking the question, because that's what you're betting on in the NFL, is that we've got a great one that we can build around. So is it Peterson or is it Lawrence who's the problem?
I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. Trevor Lawrence does not look great to me. And if you're talking about the jury's still out, Fletch, you mentioned it. It's leaning one way. I am leaning on this is not the guy.
Wow. Yeah. I would have said, and I did at the start of the season, Jacksonville has a great chance to do some really special things. Maybe a dark horse, a Super Bowl contender, and Trevor Lawrence. And really that whole offense has been underwhelming this season. The defense is what kept the Jags afloat. And then what a disaster. They had control of their own fate. Losing to the Titans gave an opportunity to the Houston Texans to advance and win the division.
Should we give a time here on these Def Leppard journey tickets so the app listeners can get a shot at it?
Yeah, why don't we call it 42?
42. 842. And you know what? You have to have the code phrase, pour some sugar on me. In fact, it's just as soon as Fletch answers, just say, pour some sugar on me.
Yeah, shout it if you can. If you're in an office, maybe whisper shout it. Like, be like, pour some sugar on me. And then Alexa will be like, do you want to activate whisper mode? And you'll be like, stop it, Alexa.
Yeah.
Gosh dang it.
That all sounds great to me. So there you go. It's going to be 842. You call 877-767-4760.
It's like the conky all over again when people would just start screaming curse words at me.
That was so fun.
Yeah, we might have to bring back the conky 10,000. Which, by the way, the number changed every week. That's what I liked about it.
It was up to like 99,000.
Yeah, we're like, it's the conky 1 million. We got to talk to the dirty word generator.
Well, we got found out. Somebody found out where our dirty word generators were coming from.
Yeah, that was tricky. Yeah. Our listeners are very smart, and that's why we like them.
Not yet, 619. Not yet.
Yeah. We're gonna hang up on you. We're gonna hang up on you. All right. So 842. Call 877-767-4760. That's all you have to
what
do.
You did there. Nicely done.
Well, I'm trying to make it work. I'm so tired of making fun of this stupid number. Now I'm just trying to remember it and say it smoothly. Oh, I hate it though. All right.
877-767-4760.
Oh, it's when you
as you were saying it, I was like, he's saying it wrong. And I was right. I know. I'm just saying.
But it feels like too many sevens.
Yeah.
Every single damn time. All right. Also, we got the national championship game coming up tonight. Michigan We got the Huskies, the Washington Huskies. Who do we like in this one? I mean, who do you want to win? Who do you think will win?
I think Michigan's going to win, and I think then Michigan might roll a little bit here. And I kind of want that to happen because I want Harbaugh to be able to go to the press conference right after the game and just put up a big middle finger to everybody who's been talking smack about Michigan all year long.
and he should have a stack of everyone else's playbook.
Oh, he absolutely, yes. And
right
everyone's catapult logins.
I want Connor Stallions to be directly behind him. I want him to walk up to the podium
with a fat mustache.
Just wearing like one of those, like, you know, the nose and the mustache comes with the glasses, where it's just like, hey, Jim, before we start the press conference, who's standing behind you? I don't know what you're talking about. Anyways, look,
doesn't work for me.
Great game against the Huskies. Great game against the Huskies.
But what I want in my heart as like a football fan is for Michael Penix Jr. to go out there and have an incredible game, because he is more fun to watch than anyone in college football. And I would like to see him go out and be as incredible as he was against Texas.
So I flip-flopped. So I was rooting for Michigan because I like chaos. Like I think the story is better if Michigan wins.
Some people just want to see the world burn.
Well,
Rich Armberger's one of them.
I'm a little bit like that when it comes to sports. When it comes to things that don't really matter, like I do kind of enjoy chaos. Like it'll be very cleansing for the NCAA to see how they handle this situation where the team who's inarguably in the most hot water in terms of illicit activities per the bylaws in the NCAA, for them to win the national title, it's a huge middle finger to the man. It's like, we'll do what we want and we'll win.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, okay. I mean, will eventually the NCAA have to, quote unquote, vacate the title? Like, you know, they still have Reggie Bush's Heisman. You know, I mean, is there going to be a situation like that sometime in the future? So I do root for chaos, but at the same token, what you just said about Penix Jr., I root for this guy.
He's special.
He's special. I think he's the most surefire, at least for now, prospect projecting to the NFL. I think this guy's got ice water in his veins. So I flip-flopped. I was rooting for Michigan for the chaos factor, but I want to see that guy win. And I think the Washington Huskies, they have a ton of heart. They are great in last-second situations. They've won 10 consecutive games by one score or less. That's a Division I football record in all of college football history. So, yeah, I'm pulling hard for the Huskies.
Well, let's do this right now then, because Michael Penix Jr. on the Prize Picks app, if you use promo code Fletch, can get 300 yards tonight, more or less, guys. Against Michigan's defense?
Probably less.
They're going to be chasing points, though. I think Michigan tries to short. Yeah, I'm with you, Les.
I'm going more. Michael Penix, I love you. And if you want to go more with me, get on over to prizepicks.com, use /Fletch or promo code Fletch, and you're able to get a first deposit match up to $100. What is Prize Picks? Well, it's the largest daily fantasy sports platform in North America. That's the entire continent, folks. It's the easiest, the most exciting way to play DFS, just you against the numbers. Instead of battling against thousands of other players, you're not playing against me. You're playing against the numbers, more or less, on 2 to 6 player stat projections. You can start watching the winning roll in the 5 weeks that I've been telling you about Prize Picks. I've won $772. If I could do it, you could do it too. prizepicks.com /Fletch. Just make sure you get on over there, and you could go with tonight's game, the national championship in college football, as your first Prize Picks entry. It's the most fun I've had, winning up to 25 times my money this football season. And now I'm playing during basketball. I've played during college football as well. 2 or more players, more or less on their projected stats, and place your entry. They got tons of specials going all week long. Taco Tuesday is my favorite, where certain players are discounted up to 25%. And then like for tonight's game, you can go Demons and Goblins. The Demons are a little bit harder to get. The Goblins a little bit easier, and the payout is reflected in that. So get on over to prizepicks.com /Fletch. Super easy to deposit, super easy to withdraw. I've withdrawn on a Sunday, got the cash on a Monday. Get on over to prizepicks.com /Fletch. First deposit match up to $100. Coming up next, we wrap up this craziness.
Coming up next, a college football coach may have been sucker punched. We'll take a deep dive coming up next. What a show. What a day. A lot of excitement. And a congrats to the Aztecs. I know we mentioned a couple times in the program, but San Diego State off to a rip-roaring start. Men's hoops, 13-2 overall, 2-0 in conference. They're going to be facing the San Jose State Spartans tomorrow night on the road. You can listen to all that action right here on the home of the Aztecs, San Diego Sports 760. Got to hit the bottom of the barrel, but first, want to hear from Fletch about the phone call he just had. So we announced our time to give away these awesome tickets to the big show at Petco Park with Journey and Def Leppard. Who was our winner? What was his name?
Christian, congratulations.
Congrats.
Yeah.
He was not super comfortable, I would say, in asking me to pour some sugar all over him.
What?
But rehash the conversation.
So-
Make
for
those
us.
tickets
Picked it up.
rain.
I said, hello. He said, hello, am I the winner? And I said, well, you could be. Do you know the code phrase? He said, pour some sugar on me, Fletch. I said, I will. In the form of tickets. So congratulations to Christian. We will have those tickets every single day this week, Tuesday through Friday here on this show. We're the only ones that got them. So make sure you're listening every morning.
Love that. Love that. Big Rich, TD, and Fletch, the podcast is going to be up and available on the free iHeartRadio app as soon as we get off the air here. Fletch does a great job getting those posted right away. As
And
we
maybe
do.
the
Yes.
stupid AP poll will update by the time we get off the air, but they
yeah.
haven't yet.
Yeah, I was just looking as well.
Might have a little breaking news. San Diego State Aztecs may have cracked the top 25. We'll drop that if it
they-
happens before 9.
If they didn't, by the way, it's okay to mutiny.
By the way, if it did, I can promise you, our show is going to be sweet retribution. We will raise hell on
Yeah.
the air tomorrow
Let's be
morning.
number
Beastie
16
Boys.
Clemson lost twice
Run
this week.
DMC, I mean.
Colorado State, who's in the Mountain West, lost this week. James Madison lost this week. Providence lost this week. Gonzaga obviously just lost to San Diego State. So
That happened.
if somehow this top 25 is maneuvered and Jenga without San Diego State in it, the world has lost its damn mind.
Not a great year for Gonzaga, though. It's the weakest they've been.
Oh yeah, since 2016.
Yeah.
But they're still in the top 25.
Yeah.
You got it. You get it. Every time somebody talks basketball now, I immediately think, how would TD put it in his updates? Like, so yeah, Gonzaga lost. They got bulldogged. Like he's like Providence lost. Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, that works.
Yeah.
By the way, I'm
Or
sick of nerds
they
like
get
John Schaefer.
decapitated by the Aztecs.
Well, yeah. The Providence. Don't they have that creepy friar? Isn't that their mascot?
Oh,
it is.
yeah, it is.
I'm pretty sure they got excommunicated by UMass.
Can we start calling out John Schaefer for being the nerd that he is and always saying the top 25 doesn't matter? Like, that's his first response every
Dude,
single time.
It's so dumb. Every time I hear him say this, I tell him all the time, like, no, John, it does matter, because guess what happens when the Aztecs are in the top 25? I hear it updated on your show incessantly.
And nationally.
Yes, it
Also,
does matter.
It would be kind of funny, though, if Aztecs were always number 26. Like, that's always the punchline.
Dude, we should we should call John Schaefer right now. We'll wake him up and we'll yell
Yeah.
at him.
Yeah.
Yeah, somebody text him first, just in case Jones is asleep.
Well, he can just whisper like he does to his Alexa.
Right. Hey, guys. All of a sudden we hear,
Yeah.
are we doing whisper mode again?
I'm looking at the 8 people right now.
Imagine if like a human worked that way. Like if we whispered to John, he just automatically whispered back to us. It's like, I have now activated whisper mode. I want to argue about the top 25.
So I will use any excuse to play this highlight on any radio show I've ever been a part of, and I'm going to use it right now. Tiger Woods and Nike have severed a 27-year relationship. Wow. It seems like a very mutual one, but Tiger put out a big statement this morning. But the greatest unplanned commercial of all time was Tiger Woods on the 16th hole at Augusta during the Masters. He was off on the rough, and then he chipped in. But the way that the ball rolled, it left it to where it was just on the fringe of the lip of the cup, and you could see that Nike.
Yep.
Listen to this. Who said golf is boring?
I remember watching that live, and you could hear at the start of the clip, that's Steve Williams, his caddy, going, roll back. like, I mean, everybody was waiting with bated breath to see what happened with that golf ball. Goodness gracious. And you're right. It was the most impressive product placement ever in the history of sports.
And you can just see the swoosh as it's starting to roll. It's creeping its way up, and then it falls in.
Yeah. And that's why Nike puts it on the ball.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
I remember watching that with my dad, and he said, you're going to talk about this 20 years from now. Well,
we are going to start putting Big Rich Stadium Fletch logos on golf balls. That's what I've learned from this.
But we're only going to sell them in pairs.
That's right.
As truck nuts.
That's right.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, we talked about this already.
Sell truck nuts.
Oh, well, we could. Well, actually, yes to that, but also,
do people use those out here?
Can we,
Seems like an IE
dude.
thing.
Can we sell? That is an IE thing.
Yeah,
we
I'll
can
use truck nuts.
Let's sell sacks of golf balls.
Just comes 2 balls.
Why is it flesh tone? You guys, why did you? Well, look, it's just people. We
For the marketing
assessment,
campaign.
It was more of like one of those focus group things.
I got the chips.
You do.
Chips are on the way.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I purchased the chips, the Pocky chips. So we'll have 3 of these things.
I'm a lot less
thanks,
excited
eBay.
about this now, by the way.
Oh, yeah, you
Much
brought
more
this on
exciting when I
yourself.
bought it thinking Travis was going
You started it,
I know.
and you will finish it.
Yep.
You will finish the whole chip.
I asked if we could have these by next Wednesday.
Okay, so for anybody who's catching up on the fly here, I know we have a lot of new listeners every day. The Pocky One Chip Challenge. It is the spiciest tortilla chip on the planet. It's actually killed a person. That's the reason why
It's actually been pulled from shelves. So we had to buy 2 more coffin box carrying tortilla chips that are going to be shipped to the studio here. And then we have one in our office. And because we all lost our win-loss total together, we
also all won.
We all tied. We all have to eat the tortilla chip.
Want an odds maker from Vegas to go back and calculate how unlikely it would be that all of us would finish with the exact same total, because we didn't all pick the same teams.
No,
not even close.
This is insane.
This is the winding road that somehow led its way back to you.
And we did not make this up, by the way.
No.
This is not a bit.
No. Yeah, I know. That's actually a good point. Like, it kind of feels like, they didn't want. No, none of us wanted to eat this chip.
Heading into yesterday, it was, I had 7 points. Rich had 5 points. Travis had 4 points.
5 things. Let's put it this way. 5 things needed to happen. 6 things need to happen in order for Fletch to join us tied. If the one of the 6 things went our way, it would have been Fletch doing it alone.
Right.
The Eagles.
Right.
The Eagles, because the Eagles lost. I mean, this is
That's
insanity.
bonkers.
By the way, if the Bills lost last night, Rich would be on his own. If any of the 5 teams that TD needed to win lost, he'd be eating the chip by himself.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. So
Mhm.
what a day yesterday. A lot of winners, mostly losers, unfortunately.
Just
on the
like
show.
us.
3 here as well.
Okay.
All right, national championship game winner. Who do we got?
Huskies, and I'm taking the points. I think it's probably 4.5 they're dog by right now.
Michigan by 10.
Washington, because I want them to win.
Mhm.
Wow,
But I
you
think
got
Michigan's
Michigan
gonna
big. Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
But give me Washington. Huskies.
Taking the points. Okay.
Thank you, Rich.
Um,
Thank you, TD. Thank you, Texters.
Thank you, Christian. And
yeah.
we got another pair of tickets tomorrow. Right on. Def Leppard and Journey tickets again tomorrow. So keep it locked in. Colin Coward and the Herd is next. We'll see you tomorrow morning.